Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in part 10 of What If Jackie Chan was in W.I.T.C.H. Link in the description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Toru who? Toru stood at the cash register of Uncle's Rare Finds, minding the shop while his friends were all out. Seeing how there weren't any customers at the moment, Toru helped himself to several boxes of cookies and cans of grape soda. Ah, grape and cookies. Toru had a happy sigh as he bit down on cookie when he saw the shop door open. A mysterious man had walked into the shop, wearing a dark overcoat, a scarf covering the lower portion of his face and a hat covering the top area of said face. Good evening, the mysterious man greeted. Fudge nutty. Toru offered a cookie to the apparent customer. If you are on a break, perhaps someone else can assist me. I am the only one here. Toru said. What exactly are you looking for? Something like this. The man reached into his coat to pull out a small object that resembled something of a totem pole. Note the unusual filioque. Toru leaned in close to get a better look at it, but this allowed the man to spray an odd powder from the top of the device into Toru's face, which quickly knocked the large sumo unconscious. Rise and shine, my boy. Those words awoke Toru as he laid on the bed of a run-down motel. Where am I? Who am I? Toru wondered as whatever he was sprayed with had caused him to lose his memories. You are Toru, my most loyal henchman. The man from the shop removed his disguise to reveal the face of Valmont, and stepping out from the shadows behind him were Hawk Fu and the Ice Crew, all 5 of them having evil smirks on their faces. The group consisting of Jackie, Will, Jade, Irma, Uncle, Heilin, Cornelia, Terani, Yanlin, and Caleb were walking back to the Chan family's shop after having just finished a movie at the theater. Your Earth movies are rather strange. Caleb pointed out. This coming from a rebel who fights the forces of darkness in another world most of his life. Cornelia cracked. Point taken. Caleb admitted. Yanlin, Jackie, next time you take girls to movies by yourself. Uncle complained. Oh boy, here we go. Irma rolled her eyes, totally expecting this from the elder Kai wizard. Ah Jin, you didn't complain so much when we used to watch plays when we were younger. Yanlin said. I seem to remember quite a few moments between us in the alleyway afterwards. She teased. Grandma. Heilin exclaimed in surprise as some of the other girls cringed slightly. Plays had good quality. Uncle pointed out. Modern-day movies leave much to be desired. Popcorn stale, sound too loud, and story unrealistic. Jackie had something of a laughing scoff. You expected reality from brain-draining freaks of Planet Modula. Hey, I'm sleeping with nose plugs tonight. Jade stated. No aliens getting its mitts on my brain matter. Pretty sure all that stinky garlic your uncle feeds you will keep the aliens away just fine. Will joked. Isn't that supposed to be vampires? Terani questioned. Lots of garlic is good for you. Uncle pointed out. However, the group looked in surprise to see the door to the shop left partially open. Someone leave the door unlocked. Will asked. I told Toru never leave shop door open. Uncle stated in annoyance. Let mosquitoes in, air conditioning out. Hey Toru, you missed out. It was a good one. Heilin called to him, but they got no response and saw that nobody was in the shop. Toru. Jade wondered. Hello. Big T. Are you here? Irma called as Caleb and Cornelia went upstairs to check and see if he was present with Terani looking in the back. How does a guy as big as him just up and vanish? Will wondered. Well, he's not in the back room. Terani walked back into the shop. He's not upstairs either. Caleb said as he and Cornelia walked down. He probably just stepped out for a minute. Jackie assumed. Heilin pulled out her cell phone. Hang on, let me try and call him. She dialed his phone number, when the whole group heard a cell phone ring. They went over to the register to see that Toru's cell phone had been left on the counter, which Cornelia picked up. Who goes out and just forgets their cell phone? The blonde wondered. That is most strange. Yanlin seemed to agree with concern. Uncle also looked a tad worried. Toru would never leave without writing note. Jade looked on the ground to see a half-eaten cookie. And he would never leave a cookie uneaten. The entire group looked with worry as something bad might have happened to their friend. I am Valmont, the crime lord introduced to the amnesiac Toru. These are your associates, Hawk Fu, Strike Master Ice, MC Cobra, and DJ Fist. Yeah dog, don't you remember us? Strike Master Ice went with Valmont's act. I remember, nothing. Toru said. Yo that potion thing's cool dog. Cobra whispered to Fist, who nodded in agreement, only for them both to be shoved slightly by Hawk Fu. Silence. The Black Tiger said in a hush whisper. It would seem that you are the victim of amnesia. Valmont said in a false sympathetic tone. Allow me to fill in some blanks. I am the leader of the Dark Hand, a premier crime syndicate, and you work for me, alongside your fellow comrades here. He gestured to Hawk Fu and the ice crew who stood behind him. Ah, premier crime syndicate? Toru asked, referring to the sorry state of the cheap motel they were currently staying in. A temporary setback, Hawk Fu stated. Yoi was living in the lap of luxury till Chan and his buddies wrecked us up. Strike Master Ice continued with the lie. Chan? Toru asked in confusion. Our nemesis. Valmont explained as he took out a scrapbook filled with photos and old newspapers of Toru's time in the Dark Hand a long time ago. You see, it was only yesterday that we were at the top of our game. You even made the FBI's most wanted, 3 years running. That seemed to convince Toru. Ah, so it is true. He took the scrapbook to get a look at it himself. But who is this Chan you claim to be our nemesis? A man who has repeatedly thwarted many of our operations. Hawk Fu answered as he showed Toru a picture of Jackie in the scrapbook. In fact, he is the reason we are in this predicament. Yo, he must have messed you up good to make you forget us big guy. MC Cobra said. He did this to me. Toru asked in surprise. Yes he did. Strike Master Ice quickly came up with a story. We tried to help you out big boy, but you were 6 feet in the dumpster when he was done with you. Toru growled in anger. Chan will pay. In good time, loyal one. In good time, Valmont assured his henchman. But first, we have a very important flight to catch. Uncle's rare finds. The group of heroes had gathered in the back of Uncle's shop as the Elder Kai wizard prepared a locator spell to find their missing friend. They had placed an unfinished can of grape soda inside Uncle's cauldron as it bubbled while he casted the spell. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. The can of grape soda had floated out of the cauldron, surrounded by a green aura as it shot to the world map on the wall, pointing out to Toru's general location. Toru, is there? Uncle pointed. Wait, isn't that India? Will asked. Close, that's Sri Lanka. Terani corrected. It's in the Indian Ocean in southern Asia. You know, I've always wanted to go to India. Hey Lin said. Great food. Again, not India. Terani reminded. But how the heck did Toru end up on the other side of the world? Cornelia questioned. I'm guessing it wasn't a vacation with his mom. Irma said sarcastically. Duh, big guy's been kidnapped. That's how. Jade exclaimed as though it were obvious. But who would capture Toru and why? Why take him and go to this Sri Lanka place? Caleb wondered. We'll find out when we get there. Will said. Let's bring our boy home. Will, I think you and the girls should best stay here. Jackie advised, much to their surprise. No way, Irma exclaimed. Forget it. Terani also stated. We want to find Toru too. Heylin exclaimed as well. He's our friend just as much as he is yours. Cornelia said. Sorry Jackie, but we're going and you're not stopping us. Will said with crossed arms. I'm going too. Caleb also volunteered. Toru is a good person and I'd like to see him return safely. Looks like it's unanimous. Jade said with a triumphant smirk. Jackie looked as though he was about to protest when Yan Lin put a hand on his shoulder. Jackie, go ahead and take them. They want to help their friend. More importantly, if the person who took him is dangerous, you may need some guardian assistance. It's not just that. How do I tell their parents I'm taking them to the other side of the world? Jackie voiced his concerns. Let me handle that, Yan Lin said with a smirk. As a former guardian myself, I'm quite the expert at making up believable excuses. Go grandma. Hey Lin smirked. Though Jackie wasn't fond of lying, he understood Yan Lin's points and was glad to see all the girls willing to help their friend despite not knowing what predicament he was in. So, with a sigh, he conceded. Very well. Yes. Jaden will exclaimed as all 6 girls shared a high five. Do not just stand there, get cracking. Uncle stated. We must find Toru. Hurry. I'll call Captain Black and arrange a flight for us. Jackie was already on his phone. Valmont led Hawk Fu, the ice crew, and the amnesiac Toru through the jungle-like area of Sri Lanka toward a temple, the leader of the Dark Hand dressed in a robe similar to that of a monk. Master, are there no closer banks for us to rob? Toru asked. Yo, robbing a bank is a whole lot harder than it looks. Strike Master Ice commented. You get those dye packs in your eyes and it stings like hell. Agreed, and we have not traveled to Sri Lanka for any run-of-the-mill heist, Toru. Valmont explained. We are here for the score of a lifetime. And the beauty of it, all we require is your muscle, the fighting prowess of our friends here. Valmont referred to Hawk Fu and the ice crew before continuing. Should our nemesis attempt to attack us, and the instructions to a secret location which we are soon to collect. Now, all of you, be on your best behavior. Yes, Master. Toru and Hawk Fu said at the same time with DJ Fist nodding. Got it, boss man, MC Cobra also said. It wasn't long before the disguised Valmont and his associates made their way to a small monastery where multiple monks and gurus were seen either working or meditating. The guru in charge addressed the disguised Valmont with a welcoming smile. Jandy, how my heart soars to see you again. He greeted with a bow, a gesture the disguised Valmont returned. Master Balru, it pleases me to introduce my protégés who wish to seek enlightenment at your most humble monastery. Valmont introduced Toru, Hawk Fu, and the ice crew. Ah, Jandy is a brother to our monastery. Balru seemed to buy it as he welcomed them. Yo, this reminds me too much of the Zoo Monastery in the Far East. Strike Master Ice whispered to his crew. I hear ya, I already don't like this place. MC Cobra agreed in a whisper but were silenced by Hawk Fu lightly shoving them, who gave them a hardened glare. Toru, assume lotus position while Balru and I catch up. Valmont told his largest associate. Yes, Master. Toru bowed as he walked away. The rest of you, assist him if he ever finds himself in any trouble. Valmont instructed the rest of his followers, who seemed to understand the subtle message he gave them. As you wish. Hawk Fu bowed as they joined Toru, who could barely put himself in any sort of position, given his body shape. So Jandy, could it be that you have finally returned to obtain true enrichment? Balru asked as he and Valmont walked through the gardens. You have a way with words, Master Balru. Valmont confirmed. Then, you shall be among the privileged few, the purest of spirit, who have communed at the legendary temple. Jandy said. Your companions are also worthy. Oh yes indeed, Toru and the others each have great strength. Valmont said, but quickly corrected himself. Inner strength of a most spiritual nature. Then come. Balru gestured his friend to follow him into the monastery. Allow me to bestow upon you the directions to the Temple of the Golden Elephant. He failed to notice Valmont's evil smile. After making it to Sri Lanka, Uncle held the grape soda can that also served as the locator spell as he led the group consisting of Jackie, Will, Jade, Irma, Cornelia, Haylin, Terani, and Caleb through the forest. Uncle, I'm parched. Can't we just drink it? Jade asked. We are out of water. Jackie also pointed out. We can't, remember. Terani reminded them. It's the locator spell that'll help us find Toru. See. Terani knows what she's talking about. Uncle gave an approved smile and a pat on the bespectacled girl's head before turning to everyone else. Do the rest of you want to find Toru? Yes. Then we must not drink locator spell. Okay, we get it, Irma said with a groan. But we could still use some more water, we've been walking for more than a few hours. Will pointed out. We probably get some water from that place. Haylin pointed to the monastery that came into view at the top of the hill. Once that hill was in sight, the locator spell around the can of soda began to glow even brighter, indicating they were close to Toru's location. The group quickened the pace as they made their way up the hill. Caleb noticed Cornelia had a look of sadness on her face and put a comforting hand on her shoulder. I wouldn't worry, this is Toru we're talking about. You know, the guy who could even toss Cedric like a rag doll. It's not that, I know Toru can take care of himself. Cornelia said. It's just, grape soda was Elleon's favorite drink too. A look of realization and sympathy fell on the young rebel's face. Hey, we'll get Elleon back. I promise. This did seem to comfort the blonde a little bit. I know, but first, let's get the big guy back. Right. Caleb nodded as he and Cornelia ran to catch up with everyone else. It didn't take long for the heroes to reach the monastery, entering through the main gate as many of the girls got a good look at the place. Wow, this place is beautiful, Heilin said with a smile. We'll go sightseeing after we find Toru. Will told her. Found him. Caleb pointed toward the side as the group turned to see Toru still struggling to put himself in a lotus position. Toru, Jackie said with relief, which was shared by everyone else, even Uncle. He is safe. The Elder Kai wizard smiled. Good, he really had us worried. Terani smiled as well. What's he doing? Jade asked. It would seem my apprentice seeks inner peace. Uncle assumed as he put the locator spell grape soda away. So, I will give him peace, of Uncle for making us worry so sick. He marched toward Toru with Caleb and the girls following right behind him. And I will fetch us some water, Jackie said as he took his canteen toward the water source nearby. Hey, Toru, Heilin called as they were already at his spot. Where the heck have you been? We were worried sick, Irma voiced with concern. We came all the way to Sri Lanka to find you, Jade said as she and Heilin tried to hug him. Remove yourselves, children, Toru told the two girls, surprising the group. Okay, what's with the attitude? Cornelia said with crossed arms. We crossed half the world to find you. You are lousy shopkeeper. Uncle scolded. You leave without sweeping. Uncle could have slipped on crumbs and broken hip. That's what you're concerned about. Caleb questioned the elderly wizard. What are you jabbering about, old fool? Toru questioned, causing nearly everyone to gasp in shock and or disbelief. Did he just, Irma stuttered. Insult Uncle? I think he did, Will said in a shocked tone of voice. Uncle's shocked expression became that of harsh anger. You speak to your sensei that way. He marched over to Toru and delivered a dope slap to his head. Ow. This angered Toru enough to stand up and tower intimidatingly over Uncle. Toru, what has gotten into you? Terani asked as she and the other girls, along with Caleb stood protectively in front of Uncle. You, know my name? He asked in surprise, which only confused the group. Of course, we know your name, we're your friends, Heilin stated as Jackie arrived, having filled his canteen. Jackie, I don't think Toru recognizes us, Jade told her uncle. What? Oh, do not be silly Jade. Jackie didn't seem too convinced. Jackie-chan. Toru however did recognize Jackie, causing him to glare. See, Toru knows exactly who I am. Jackie smiled. My nemesis, Toru exclaimed as he delivered a powerful punch toward Jackie. Fortunately Will and Jade tackled him to the ground to avoid being hit while the rest of the group looked in absolute shock. What the hell? Irma exclaimed. Iya. Uncle practically screamed as Toru continued to try and punch Jackie as he tried to dodge the punches. Toru, it is me, Jackie. He tried to remind his amnesiac friend. Yes, I know. Toru tried to charge Jackie, who rolled out of the way as Toru accidentally plowed through the stone wall surrounding the whole monastery. Toru, come on, were you friends? Don't you remember us? Heilin tried to plead to the recovering Toru. Stand aside, girl. Toru shoved the shocked Heilin to the ground as he continued his pursuit of Jackie. Will, Jade, and the others ran to help up Heilin as they saw Toru continuing his attack on the shocked Jackie who continued to dodge. Toru, whatever I did to anger you, I am sorry. What is happening? He's not acting like himself, Caleb stated. Oh yes he is, his old self. Jade recognized Toru's old behavior. You mean when he was part of the Dark Hand? Terani asked. Indeed. A new voice confirmed as the group turned around in surprise to see Hawk Fu, Strike Master Ice, DJ Fist, and MC Cobra standing behind them with evil smirks. It's Tiger Boy and Pizza Face, Irma exclaimed in surprise. The Dark Hand, Caleb glared. But if these guys are here then, Cornelia was the first to put the pieces together, followed by everyone else as they came to the same realization. Valmont, Will's eyes narrowed. Of course, they must have did something to Toru to make him fall back on his old habits. Terani assumed. Jade, you and Uncle helped Jackie to try and jog Toru's memory. Will told her. The rest of us will handle these guys. You got it. Jade nodded as she and Uncle ran to assist Jackie, leaving the 5 girls and Caleb to face the 4 enemies. Yo, long time no see ladies. Strike Master Ice smirked. Up for another game of ass kicking. We were just about to tell you that. Irma said as Will took out the heart of Kandrakar and said the magic words. Guardians unite. With a bright flash, Will, Irma, Cornelia, Terani and Hei Lin had transformed into witch, before rushing at their enemy, who charged directly at them in response. Meanwhile, Valmont, still in his guru disguise, was inside the monastery, receiving the directions to the Temple of the Golden Elephant. Lastly, you will both emerge from the bamboo forest to find yourselves at the Lake of Riddles. Balru instructed, however he was interrupted by the sounds of vases being smashed outside. What was that? Valmont looked outside and was surprised to witness the battles between Toru and Chan, as well as the Guardians with their magic powers against the martial arts skills of Hawkfu and the Ice Crew. A freak pottery accident. Valmont lied. Frightful how they just spontaneously combust. Shall we press on then? I will crush you. Black Tiger plucks fairy wings. How about you eat dirt instead? The sounds of battle and insults being exchanged prompted Balru to look out the window, but Valmont blocked his view. Jandy, what are you hiding? This is not the behavior of one who is prepared to visit the temple. Which reminds me, left or right at the lake? Valmont asked as he continued to block Balru. Across. Balru stated, which was all the disguised crime lord needed to hear. Thank you, master. Valmont sneered as he reached into his robe to pull out the same potion he used on Toru. And now that I have been enlightened, let us forget we've ever had this chat. He sprayed the potion into Balru's face, causing him to fall unconscious onto the ground. Back outside, Irma and Hei Lin both flew and dodged to avoid the relentless punches from DJ Fist. As they tried to fly away, DJ Fist jumped to grab Hei Lin by her foot and throw her down to the ground. This seemed to irritate Irma as she telekinetically pulled all the water out from a nearby river and shot it directly at the surprised DJ Fist, the water itself taking the form of a fist as it sent DJ Fist crashing into a wall, which a pair of gurus were able to avoid. Sorry, we'll fix everything up later. Hei Lin apologized. Terani, at the same time, found herself on the defense from several punches and kicks from MC Cobra, which she could barely block with her own martial arts before MC Cobra swiped his feet to knock her down, before he leapt into the air to deliver a flying kick to where her head would be. However, Terani used her wings to slide back across the ground before MC Cobra's foot hit the ground. She then shot her fist forward for a point-blank fire attack, scoring a direct hit and sending MC Cobra flying into a nearby river. Hidden Viper devours butterfly. Hawkfu launched an attack towards Cornelia, but she flew out of the way to avoid it. Caleb then tried to rush Hawkfu with a punch, but the Black Tiger was quick to catch Caleb's fist. Gorilla smashes Cage. He dealt a powerful kick to Caleb's chest to send him skidding across the ground. Hey, I got one. Cornelia stated in anger as she landed on the ground. How about, Black Tiger falls of mountain? She shot her hands to the ground, causing a small tremor before a large stone fist shot out of the ground to punch Hawkfu and send him flying up before crashing on the ground hard, knocking him unconscious. Meanwhile, Will seemed to be evenly matched with Strikemaster Ice as she threw a punch at him, which he parried before swinging his foot at her, though she was able to fly above before dealing a powerful kick downwards, forcing Ice to backflip and avoid the attack as he took a martial arts stance with a smirk. "Ah hey Red, how ya been? You're looking as cool as ever," he teased. "Nope, still not my type," Will stated as she flew at Ice to deal a punch, which he limboed under to grab her by the foot. However, Will used this to her advantage as she flew up into the sky and spun her body around to send Ice flying and skidding across the ground once he let go. At the same time, Jackie continued to run from Toru as he backflipped his way toward a large bell as Jade and Uncle tried to catch up with them. "It's time to jog Toru's memory," Jade stated as she ran toward them as Jackie hid behind the bell with Toru trying to find his way around it to get to Jackie. "Toru, remember all those times we butt-whooped the Shotokan?" "The who?" Toru questioned as he continued to pursue Jackie around the bell. Okay, never mind them." "Well, how about the time you helped me get over the crush I had on the kid in my class who was a demon?" Jade tried. "There is no such thing as demons," Toru stated as he continued to pursue Jackie. "Well, how about all the times we took on that royal dirtbag Phobos?" Jade still continued to try. "I mean, that's only been a few weeks ago. I do not know a person named Phobos." Toru replied, much to Jade's irritation. Now it was Uncle's turn as he walked up with a can of grape soda in his hands. Toru, remember. Your favorite. Grape soda. Grape what? Toru simply backhanded the soda out of Uncle's hands, much to Elder Kai Wizard's annoyance. Jackie rolled underneath the bell to try and get out of Toru's reach as Jade quickly tried to run and bar his path. Toru, stop this. Why are you acting like you work for the Dark Hand? Jade exclaimed. Because I work for the Dark Hand. Toru shouted back, causing Jade to gasp in shock. Then shame on you. Jackie stated, causing Toru to turn around as Jackie had pulled the bell back and let it go, causing it to slam into Toru and send him literally rolling down the hill, bashing across multiple trees in the process. Will and her fellow guardians had flown onto the scene as Caleb had ran to join them as well. Is he going to be okay? Lin asked with concern. I think he'll be fine. Terani replied. Hey, just like old times. Jade commented, trying to find some form of humor in this otherwise shocking situation. Maybe that will knock some sense into him. Uncle stated. But how did it get knocked out of him in the first place? Jackie asked. He's how? Irma pointed toward Valmont as he attempted to sneak away. Valmont. Jackie and Uncle both stated at the same time. The crime lord attempted to make a run for it, only for Cornelia to use her powers to grow a vine out of the ground and trip him up, causing him to fall onto the ground as he looked up in surprise to see all 5 guardians hovering above him, each with their respective elemental powers at the ready. You just can't resist causing us trouble, can you? Will said with a glare as Jackie, Caleb, Jade, and Uncle caught up and the entire group completely surrounded him. What have you done to Toru? Jackie demanded as he took a martial arts stance. Last I saw, he was rolling down a hill. You're doing, I believe. He replied with a sneer. Stop playing games with us. Caleb stated. Whatever you did to him, you're going to undo it, now. Cornelia demanded. Yeah, tell us the truth, Friar Liar. Jade also demanded. Perhaps Toru had enough of sweeping floors and decided to take a better offer. Valmont continued to play around. Mine. Sweeping floors may be dirty work, but it is honest. Uncle stated as the group had the crime lord literally backed against the wall. And he does so much more than just that. Lin added. He's our friend and you are going to fix what you did to him. Don't make us call his mom on you for another beatdown. Irma warned. Because we will. Toru is one of the most good people we've ever met in our entire lives. Will stated. There's no way he'd go back to working for you again. Oh. Valmont asked with a smirk. If you don't believe me, why don't you just ask him? He pointed behind the group, toward Toru who stood above them all. The group didn't react in time as Toru dealt several powerful backhands to knock each of them down onto the ground, be they guardian or normal human. Valmont walked towards Will as she was down on the ground. I'll be taking that. He plucked the heart of Kandrakar from around her neck. No. Will tried to reach for it, but once it left her person, she along with her friends had lost their guardian forms and turned back to normal. She was about to get back up, but Strikemaster Ice had appeared behind her to pull her into a bear hug. Let me go. She struggled in his grip. It wasn't just her, the rest of the ice crew and Hawk Fu had recovered as the Black Tiger had grabbed onto Cornelia, MC Cobra subdued Terani, DJ Fist pulled both Irma and Lin into a grip and Toru was able to pull in Jackie, Jade, Caleb, and Uncle into a squeezing bear hug. Toru, please don't do this. Lin tried to plead with him, but he didn't seem to listen as the villains walked with their captives toward a cellar. Don't listen to him. Terani also pleaded. Valmont's just using you. Jade also tried. You will pay for this. Uncle said to Valmont specifically as the crime lord opened the cellar door, allowing his henchmen to throw the heroes down inside. But that wasn't the end of their predicament. Before they had a chance to recover, Toru had already grabbed a massive boulder and wedged it into the only entrance exit, effectively trapping the heroes inside the cellar. Dark Hand, 3, Jackie Chan and Friends, 0. Valmont smirked. Yo no that really rocked. MC Cobra joked as he, Ice and Fist shared a 3-way high five. Come, my friends. It is time to collect our prize. Valmont said to his henchmen as they began to leave the monastery. Yes, master. Hawk Fu and Toru said at the same time as they left. Inside the cellar, Jackie, Will, and Caleb tried to push the boulder out of the way. "Come on, budge you stupid." Will struggled. It's no good," Caleb stated as they couldn't even get it to budge. "Iya, we are trapped," Uncle exclaimed. "Cornelia, can't you move it out of the way?" Toru asked as the blonde had already stretched her hands out. "What do you think I'm trying to do?" Cornelia tried to use whatever control of Earth she had to move the boulder, though she did manage to shake it a little, it wasn't enough to move it as she fell to her hands and knees in exhaustion. "It's no use, without the heart, we don't have our full powers." "Alright Jade, now might be a good time to whip out some talismans," Irma said as Jade could only wince. I didn't bring any." "What?" Cornelia, Toru, Will, Caleb, and Irma all exclaimed at the same time. "What you didn't mean you didn't bring them. You always swipe the talismans," Cornelia exclaimed. "Hey, I was worried about Toru, okay," Jade exclaimed before she sat down on the steps in grief. "We've lost him, for good." She was already in tears, but Haylin and Will were among the first to sit down next to her and provide some comfort. "No, we'll figure a way to get him back," Haylin told her friend. "Toru never gave up on any of us, we'll never give up on him," Will also said. "We bring Toru back Jade. I promise," Jackie told his niece. "We'll find a way to return his memory even if we have to beat an antidote out of Valmont," Caleb stated as he punched his fist into his palm for emphasis. "All the good that'll do if we can't get out of here," Cornelia pointed out. "Hey, if a weasel like Valmont can crawl out from under a rock, we can too," Irma said. Toru tried to think. "Maybe, if we try to combine our powers, it might take a while, but maybe we can dig our way out of the boulder." However, it would seem that Uncle already had a plan in mind as he sat down meditatively as he had a blow of fish in front of him, chanting a Kai spell. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. He cast a beam of green Kai magic from his blowfish onto the boulder, causing everyone to smile as they believed they had found a way out. "Uncle, are you using a levitation spell?" Toru asked with a hopeful smile. "HMMP. Uncle cannot pack spell ingredients for every occasion," the Elder Kai wizard stated, much to everyone's confusion, which turned into even further confusion as Will felt a drop of mud fall onto her coat. She and everyone else looked up in shock to see the boulder, melting, into mud, which splattered all over them. A pair of monks, who had gathered at the area outside, looked in surprise to not only see a boulder turn into mud before their very eyes, but even the group of heroes come out, completely covered in mud. Jade gave an annoyed scoff. "Who says mud baths are relaxing?" Cornelia looked more annoyed than anyone else as she appeared covered in the most amount of mud. "You owe me a free day at the salon after this." The blonde pointed at Uncle, who responded with a dope slap to her forehead. "Ow. You wanted way out of cellar," Uncle provided. How about we fight after we save Toru?" Will suggested as she promptly broke them up. Jackie looked toward the pair of monks in front of them. "You wouldn't have happened to see where Toru went. A big guy, looks like a sumo, he's surrounded by a bunch of other crazy guys and a British scumbag," Irma also described. "Pretty hard to miss." A distressed cry caught everyone's attention as the group turned to see a monk helping Balru out of the monastery. "Master Balru has lost his memory." "Who is Balru?" the head guru asked in confusion. "See," the monk stated. "Whoa, this amnesia bug's really going around," Jade observed. "Unless Valmont is responsible for both Toru's memory vanishing as well as this person." Caleb came to the realization first, followed by everyone else. "Hacha. Uncle had just had an epiphany. Valmont has used a potion on them. And with that potion, Uncle and Will can both bring back Toru's memory." "Wait, me?" Will was more than a little surprised. "Uncle can devise an antidote with the potion, but seeing as the potion is magic, you can use the heart of Kandrakar," Uncle explained to Will. "But I thought the heart can only have us transform as guardians and closing portals," Haylin recalled. "The heart of Kandrakar has many incredible powers," Uncle continued to explain, including the ability to absorb and utilize other forms of magic or magic items. If the heart absorbs the portion into itself, it will have the power to repair the damage to Toru's memory just as it can repair holes in the veil. "So, we got a way to get Toru's memory back. Great," Irma exclaimed with a smile that was shared by most of the group. There is still one issue, Valmont would have both the potion and the heart with him. Jackie pointed out. So, we'll just have to find him. Caleb said. Oh, there is no hope of that. The monk told the group as the amnesiac Balru looked around at the monastery. The strangers have embarked for the Temple of the Golden Elephant, and only Master Balru knows where it is. Are you my mother? The amnesiac Balru asked the monk, causing him to shake his head in distress. Ooh, the temple's location is lost forever. Oh. Uncle had a smirk on his face as he pointed toward the can of grape soda on the ground that still had the locator spell active. Can of grape soda tells Uncle otherwise. Valmont continued to lead Toru, Hak Fu, and the ice crew through the bamboo forest to their intended location. Master, why didn't you tell me Jackie Chan had children under his command that could possess such strange powers? Toru asked, referring to the guardians. I didn't feel it was necessary at the time. Valmont answered. But don't you worry, he took out the heart of Kandrakar. So long as we possess this, they will not be able to use their abilities again. So, what are we gonna do with that thing, boss man? Strike Master Ice asked. We should take the powers for ourselves. Hak Fu stated. It turned defenseless children into powerful adversaries. That kind of power flowing through our veins, the veins of true warriors. Yo, I don't wanna wear no skirt. MC Cobra quickly said. No, we will not be utilizing this power. Valmont quickly said. I've had more than enough experience with magic to last a lifetime. We'll sell this crystal with the golden elephant, nothing more. He said as the group made their way out of the forest. And speaking of which, it appears we have arrived. The group of villains had found themselves at the base of a boiling river with a large temple in the middle of it. The Temple of the Golden Elephant. Hak Fu said almost dramatically. Yo, you had me at golden. Strike Master Ice smirked. Toru was ready to cross the water, but once he set his foot in, he felt the hot temperatures of the water and immediately pulled his foot back in. Ow. Don't you recognize boiling water? Valmont said as he rolled his eyes. Now, how do we get across? Suddenly, a stone slab emerged from the water and presented itself to the group as magic writing appeared on the stone itself. It is a riddle. Hak Fu read it aloud. What do you call the life story of a car? Now that's a tough one. MC Cobra tried to think with everyone else. You know the answer, Fist Boy. He asked DJ Fist, who only shrugged. Cartoon. Toru guessed. Vehicular memoir. Valmont guessed as well. Duh. Jade suddenly stated as she, Jackie, Will, Caleb, Uncle, Irma, Haylin, Cornelia, and Terani arrived onto the scene. Autobiography. That did appear to be the correct answer as multiple stone slabs emerged from the boiling water, allowing the members of the Dark Hand entrance toward the temple. I was about to say that. Valmont smirked. Toodaloo. Yo, thanks for the help, Shrimp. Strike Master Ice also smirked as the villains quickly made their way across. Oopsie. Jade winced, but the heroes were quick to give pursuit as Jackie was the first to run across the stone slabs. Unfortunately for him, the villains had already made their way toward the temple, and once the last of them was across, the slabs began to sink back into the water one by one, prompting Jackie to turn around and run back toward the riverbank. Jackie. Water very hot. Uncle told him. I am not soaked yet. Jackie exclaimed as he tried to run back. Terani soon noticed the slabs on the riverbank began to sink back into the water as well. Uh-oh, that's a problem. He'll be like a boiled lobster. Haylin exclaimed. Caleb however got an idea as he quickly ran to grab a bamboo stick just as it looked like Jackie was about to reach a literal dead end. Jackie, catch. The young rebel threw the bamboo stick at Jackie, which he caught and used to pole vault over the river and back towards the bank. He looked like he was about to fall back in, but Will and Cornelia quickly grabbed his arms and pulled him to safety. That was way too close. Cornelia said. How do we get across now? Jackie wondered. Will grunted in annoyance. If I still had the heart, we could transform and just fly across. Ow. She felt a dope slap on her forehead, courtesy of Uncle. Did you not pay attention? Uncle stated as another stone slab rose from the water to present another riddle to the heroes. We must answer riddle. Shouldn't be too hard. Irma shrugged as Jackie read the riddle aloud. What is the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the beginning of every end, and the end of every place? This riddle seemed to perplex group as neither of them had an answer for it right away. No fair. We got a brain buster. Jade complained with crossed arms. Meanwhile, Valmont led Toru, Hawk-Fu, and the ice crew into the temple, which was lined with multiple statues representing four-armed demon-like creatures, and at the center of the temple was their prize. At last, Valmont smiled evilly. My ticket to a life of luxury. The golden elephant was massive statue of an elephant that was almost as big as Toru himself, and as the name suggested, it was made entirely out of gold. Strikemaster Ice whistled. That's a lot of gold, dog. We can buy so many cool sports cars with that. MC Cobra smiled as DJ Fist had his own eager smile as well. And so few have seen it, it will never be missed. Valmont commented. Back on the riverbank, the heroes had still yet to solve the riddle that laid before them. The end of every place, the exit. Jade guessed. But what about the beginning of eternity? Will questioned. I hate riddles. She slapped her hand against her forehead. So just because we're like interdimensional guardians, we got a riddle that deals with the cosmos. Irma questioned. Well then let's just make a boat and sail across. Caleb suggested. That'll take way too long. Hey Lynn said. Why can't riddles be so simple? Cornelia complained. Like, what color is the sky? Too easy. No challenge. Uncle stated. I wish this were the lake of crosswords, I am better at those. Jackie said. It's E. Terani stated as the group quickly looked toward the bespectacled girl as she sat on the ground, having written the words, eternity, time, space, end, and place, on the sand with a stick. We're overthinking it. At the beginning of the words, eternity, and, end, and at end of the words, time, space, and place, is the letter E. This did indeed prove to be the correct answer as a path of stone slabs arose from the river, allowing the hero's entrance towards the temple of the golden elephant. Go Terani. Jade smiled, along with everyone else, while Terani had a triumphant smirk on her face, as they made their way across the boiling river. Toru, Hawk-Fu, and DJ Fist struggled to lift the massive golden elephant from its pedestal. Come on big guys, lift with your legs. Your legs dog. Strikemaster Ice stated. Be silent, unless you wish to lift this yourself. Hawk-Fu replied as even DJ Fist shot Ice a glare. Enough arguments, just pack up that pachyderm so that we may be gone from this place. Valmont exclaimed. Yes, master. Toru said as the trio continued to try and lift the golden statue. Meanwhile, Jackie, Uncle, Caleb, and all the girls had just entered the temple. But even upon entering, one look at all the statues around them was enough to send a chill down anyone's spine. Yeah, that's not creepy at all. Irma muttered as the group split up to hide behind two large pillars as they saw the villains still attempting to lift the statue, but they haven't even made it budge yet. Funny how the guy who can't remember is trying to steal the animal that never forgets. Jade commented. Yeah, that's hilarious. Caleb said sarcastically. So, are we gonna stop them or what? Stop Toru. Uncle called to his amnesiac apprentice, getting the attention of the Dark Hand agents and leader as the heroes stepped into the light. If you remove the elephant, something very bad will happen. Which would be? Valmont asked, not entirely convinced. Uncle tried to think. Do not recall. I'm expert in Chinese mythology, not Indian. But seriously, you guys don't see it. Cornelia exclaimed as she spoke to the villains directly. I mean, there's an invaluable artifact sitting on a pedestal with no defenses around it whatsoever. You honestly don't think it's not booby-trapped? Haven't you guys watched Raiders of the Lost Ark? I have. MC Cobra said. Harrison Ford is the bomb, yo. Really? He's my favorite old-school actor too. Hey Lin agreed. Not the time, hey Lin. Will lightly scolded. Don't listen. Valmont told Toru. Our enemies are just trying to trick you again. With that order, Toru, DJ Fist, and Hawk-Fu continued their attempt and had managed to successfully lift the golden elephant from its pedestal. The second they did however, a powerful whirlwind blew through the entire temple, surprising all the heroes and villains present. Uh-oh. Jade gulped. I tried to tell them. Cornelia said. The group heard a series of growls as all the statues in the temple began to move, their eyes turned red almost like rubies as they had come to life. They all marched toward the center of the chamber, surrounding the heroes and villains as there appeared to be more than a dozen of them. Now I remember. Uncle stated. Stone sentinels will destroy whomever attempts to steal elephant. Toru especially gave a gasp as he was one of the ones who did attempt to steal said golden artifact. Though the heroes were literally caught in the middle, it seemed the villains were the stone sentinels' primary target. Well, at least it's not a boulder, Toru said nervously. Right, cause living giant four-armed statues are way better than just an ordinary boulder. Irma replied with obvious sarcasm. I never touched it. Valmont exclaimed as he attempted to find some cover. Toru, Will, Hey Lin, and Jade all exclaimed at the same time as Jackie and Caleb both ran forward to provide Toru with assistance as two stone sentinels grabbed him and held him in a firm grip. However, as one attempted to punch Toru, Jackie came in and grabbed it by its arm, diverting its attention as the sentinel gave chase to Jackie. At the same time, Caleb had leapt from a pillar and onto the head of one of the sentinels holding Toru, which distracted all of them, allowing Toru to slip out of their grip. Yo, we ain't gonna let some stone dudes trip us up. Strikemaster Ice stated as he and his crew went on the attack. However, when DJ Fist attempted to punch the stone chest of the frontmost sentinel, he waved his hand in pain before he was slapped back. Ice and Cobra didn't fare any better as their attacks barely even damaged the stone sentinels, forcing them to run and find cover. Roaring Tiger Fist. Hawk Fu exclaimed as he tried to punch a stone sentinel's face, but like with his comrades, he barely scratched it as his hand felt great pain. Crying Puppy Fist. Crying Puppy Fist. Hawk Fu waved his hand as he ran away from the sentinel that attempted to stomp on him. Toru found himself cornered again by more sentinels, however one of them felt a rock hit its head as it turned around to see Will with a rock in her hand, having been the one who thrown it. She wasn't alone as Irma, Cornelia, Hey Lin, and Toru stood with her. Powers or not, we're not letting our friend get hurt, Will stated as the sentinels turned their attention towards the girls. So, what's the plan, fearless leader? Cornelia asked. That's easy. Run, Will replied as the five girls split off to divert the sentinels away from the surprised Toru. Hey uncle, we could use that spell right now. Toru called to uncle as he and Jade hid behind another pillar. Do you not listen? Uncle called back. Uncle cannot make amnesia antidote without amnesia potion. Toru tried to run around a pillar to lose the stone sentinel chasing her. No, I mean the one where you turn rock into mud. Ah, that uncle can do. The Kai wizard nodded in understanding. And while you work your magic, Jade muttered as she saw Valmont hiding around one pillar from the sentinels. I'll motion for some potion and steal a certain heart while I'm at it. Jade ran behind all the pillars as her friends and enemies each did what they could to try and avoid the crushing strikes from the stone sentinels, as that appeared to be all they could do without any special powers. She appeared to sneak behind the pillar Valmont was next to without him noticing as she reached one hand towards the potion device that he had in his coat pocket. However, Valmont apparently saw it coming as he grabbed onto Jade's hand before she could get it. The artful bungler. Jade still tried to pull it away, fighting Valmont for it. Hand it over, Jade exclaimed as she tried to pull it away, while also reaching her other hand around Valmont's back for something else. Say pretty please, Valmont stated as he didn't notice Jade reaching behind him, nor did they appear to notice Uncle walking toward Jade specifically. Did you see where Uncle put dried blowfish? Uncle asked as he searched his bag. Cannot complete spell without. Unfortunately, Jade and Valmont's tussle for the potion led to an accidental spray to the Elder Kai wizard's face, causing him to fall flat on the ground. Uncle, are you okay? Jade asked urgently as she ran to his side. Uncle. Uncle who? Jade gave a wince, realizing Uncle himself now had amnesia. Oh boy. Serves you right, you old goat. Valmont mocked the old wizard. Ah, I am a goat. Uncle, now under the impression that he was on a goat, stood up on his hands and legs and made a bah noise. And it serves you right, for attempting to take something that doesn't belong to you. Valmont smirked at Jade. However, Jade had a smirk of her own. Oh yeah, what about something that wasn't yours in the first place? She held out her hand, revealing she had swiped back the heart of Kandrakar, much to Valmont's shock. Jade saw a certain redhead cornered by a stone sentinel. Will, catch. No. Valmont shouted as he saw the crystal fly through the air. As Will saw the heart flying towards her, She slid underneath the legs of the stone sentinel before sliding along the ground to grab the heart before it hit the floor. Once it was in her hands again, she didn't waste a second. Guardians unite. Despite being scattered around the temple, Will, Irma, Terani, Cornelia, and Heylin underwent their flashy transformation and appeared once more as witches. They hovered above the stone sentinels who had diverted their attention towards them. "Ah yeah, we're back baby." Irma smirked. "Time for some redecorating." Cornelia rubbed her hands as the 5 girls shot down at the sentinels. Irma, Terani, and Heylin shot their respective elements of water, fire, and wind to knock back several sentinels. 2 stone sentinels were about to get the drop on Jackie and Toru as they came back to back, but Will had flown to the one in front of Toru to deal a kick to the back of its head, causing it to tumble over the pair as they ducked underneath it, letting it crash into the other, resulting in them both shattering. Will landed right next to Jackie and Toru as they formed a 3-way back-to-back circle in between 3 more sentinels. The harder they are, Jackie shared a smirk with Toru. The bigger they break, the large sumo finished. Sounds like a plan, Will agreed as they scattered. Jackie ran towards 2 sentinels, jumping onto one that tried to grab him as the second attempted to punch him, only to result in the second sentinel punching the head off the first as Jackie jumped onto the second one, resulting in another active, friendly fire from the previous sentinel as they both fell over. One sentinel attempted to punch Toru, but he ducked underneath its swing and picked it up with his sheer strength and threw into another sentinel to shatter both. "Hey over here." Will waved her hands, hovering in between 2 sentinels to get their attention. She let herself fall as they both tried to punch her, only to result in them destroying each other. The other guardians followed a similar lead as Heylin and Irma stood together to face 3 charging sentinels. Both the water and air guardians nodded to each other as they combined their powers together into a large sphere of surging water winds. Almost like a storm formed in between their hands, which they threw at the charging stone sentinels. Though the attack itself didn't damage them, it blew all 3 back towards a pillar as the sentinel in back was crushed by the one in front of it. Before that one ended up being crushed as well by the one previously up front, and even that one did not come out unscathed as its back fell apart. Terani twirled her hands to produce 2 large flames which she telekinetically controlled to throw out and float in front of the faces of 2 sentinels, who attempted to chase the flames that Terani controlled, as they seemed drawn to it like a moth to a light. She brought her flames together in between the 2 sentinels as they ran into each other, resulting in them shattering. Caleb found himself cornered by the last 4 stone sentinels and he was more than ready to fight them. However, that proved to be unnecessary as Cornelia hovered in front of them and held her hand out to say one word. "Stop." The sentinels did just that as they stopped in their tracks, much to Caleb's surprise as Cornelia smiled. "Now, raise your hands above your heads." The 4 sentinels did as they were told. "Whoa, didn't think that would work." Cornelia seemed surprised even of herself. Cornelia, what did you do?" Caleb asked. "Well, they're stone sentinels, and since I'm the Earth Guardian," she explained. "Oh, I get it. So, they're puppets." Caleb smiled. "Got that right," Cornelia said as she looked in the direction of the exit to see Hawk Fu, Strikemaster Ice, DJ Fist, and MC Cobra attempting to sneak away. She smirked as she addressed her new puppets. "Hey boys, be good little sentinels and go get those bad guys for me." She motioned her hands to charge at the 4 enemies, resulting in the stone sentinels running towards the shocked villains. They attempted to make a run for it but didn't get very far as the sentinels surrounded them. Each stone sentinel picked up one of the villains in the form of a bear hug. "Yo, this ain't fair, homie," MC Cobra complained. "We didn't sign up for this, dog." Strikemaster Ice also complained as the 4 Dark Hand agents were effectively trapped. "You guys should have thought of that before you decided to join Valmont," Caleb said with crossed arms as Cornelia flew down to his side and put an arm around his shoulder. "Now, keep those guys pinned but don't crush them. You got it. Good sentinels," Cornelia told the sentinels as they stood in place to keep a firm hold of their captives. Jade gave a half smirk with a raised eyebrow as Irma flew down next to her to witness the event. "Should have known she'd try that," Jade cracked. "Yeah, that girl never misses a chance to act like a queen." Irma joked as well. "Is that all of them?" Jackie asked as he, Will, Heylin, and Terani regrouped. Aside from Cornelia's new entourage, Yeah, I think so. Lin seemed to agree. Valmont tried to sneak behind Toru as he whispered to his so-called henchman. Pissed, Toru. Let's collect our prize now that they are distracted. However, Toru turned around to face Valmont with a glare. No. Huh. Will, Jackie, Jade, Cornelia, and Caleb all voiced in surprise, while Lin, Irma, and Terani shared hopeful smiles. But none appeared more surprised than Valmont. What do you mean, no? You were not so loyal to your loyal henchman, Toru stated. Well, I was simply hopping to duck away and find a large mallet with which to assist. Yes, well, while you were looking for your mallet, Jackie Chan and these children didn't hesitate to assist me, even though many of them were robbed of their mysterious yet incredible power. Toru said as the Guardians flew in to stand with Toru, along with Jackie and Caleb who joined them. Something inside tells me that these people are my friends, Toru said as he put a hand on Jackie's shoulder. That's your heart telling you that, Lin said with a smile. Because we are your friends. And of course, we'd help save your life, you saved ours plenty of times. Will also said with her own smile. Even if you can't remember us Toru, we'll never forget you. Terani smiled. You're not just a friend to us, big guy. You're practically family. Irma nodded with a smile of her own. And there isn't anything we wouldn't do for you. Cornelia smiled as well. Valmont however glared. Well then I'll just be sure to erase all your memories. He pulled out the potion device and was about to spray all of them. Fortunately, Jade came in with a flying kick to kick the device into Valmont's face as he sprayed, resulting in the potion spraying onto his face. Bullseye. Jade smirked. Nice kick, Caleb complimented. Just like all his victims, Valmont had lost all his memories as well. Where am I? He asked as he tried to pick himself up. The ballet. Jade told him. You're doing a fabulous Swan Lake. Valmont then stood up on his feet and began to perform said dance with such grace and beauty, which caused nearly everyone to laugh. Oh, please tell me you're recording this, Will said to Irma with a laugh. Already on it. Irma smirked as she took out her phone to record Valmont's performance. Hey, he's actually pretty good, Lin complimented. Well, Valmont can dance all the way to prison, alongside his compatriots, Jackie said, also referring to Hawk Fu and the ice crew that were still in the grip of the surviving stone sentinels. Prison. Toru voiced his worry, hoping Jackie wasn't referring to him as well. Don't worry Toru, you're good, Terani assured. Yes, elephants may remember with their heads, but you remembered us with your heart. Jackie smiled. Speaking of hearts, Will held out the heart of Kandrakar as she picked up the potion device that Valmont had dropped and held the two close together. The heart of Kandrakar began to glow brighter as the potion device vanished and merged into the heart of Kandrakar itself. She then walked towards her amnesiac friend. Alright Toru, this will help bring your memories back, Will told him. But, with your permission, I don't want to make you do anything you don't want to. Toru looked at the people that he knew in his heart he could trust as they each gave him supporting smiles and nods. If what you say is true, and we are indeed close friends, then I want to remember. I want to remember those bonds that we share. Everyone smiled widely as Will held the heart of Kandrakar up towards his forehead as a pink light shined from the crystal and into Toru's eyes. Once he saw that light, all the memories he lost when Valmont sprayed him with the potion all came back to him. Once the process was done, Toru felt dizzy for a moment, causing his friends to rush to his side to prevent him from falling over. When he regained his senses, Toru looked around at his friends. Jackie, Jade, Will, everyone smiled, especially the girls who seemed more emotional than everyone else. I remember. I remember everything. It was true, his memories had returned, and the Toru they all knew and loved was back. Toru. Jade was the first to run up and hug his massive frame. We missed you so much. Lin flew up and wrapped her arms around his upper neck area, followed by Irma, Terani, even Will and Cornelia as they all embraced him, which he was more than happy to return. Welcome back, my friend. Caleb patted his back with a smile, as did Jackie with a nod of his own. The embrace ended as Toru felt a bite on his pants as the group looked down to see Uncle, still under the impression that he was a goat attempting to eat Toru's pants. Bah. Alright, better fix him up too. Will was ready to restore Uncle's memories, but Cornelia put a hand on her shoulder. Maybe not right away. Cornelia suggested. He's a lot less annoying like this. Before anyone could protest Cornelia, she felt a tug on her hair. Ow. Hey. She looked down to see Uncle biting and pulling on her long blonde hair. Bah. Ah. That's not hay, that's my hair. Cornelia pulled her hair out of Uncle's mouth. Bad goat. Bad goat. She tried to fly away as Uncle still tried to jump up and get a bite onto her hair. No. Bad goat. My hair's not food. She scolded as she tried to get away from him, but he still kept going for her. Jade laughed alongside Terani, Irma, Heylin, and even Will. You're right, Cornelia. Jade chuckled. I do like him this way. Jackie smiled as he shook his head while Caleb tried to pull Uncle back from Cornelia. Toru himself gave a small sigh with a smile. It's good to be back. Enter the Oni. The girls of which, along with Jade and even Alchemy, sat at a table in the Chan family shop, Uncle's rare finds, as they were currently having a study session with Jackie, though it seems Jade was among those that appeared the most bored. Dulls vile. Jade muttered aloud as she placed her head on the table. That's not even a real element. Terani commented as she read her science textbook. No, but she's bored out of her head, kinda like I am right now. Irma sulked deeper into her chair. E equals mc squared. The hell does that even mean? Cornelia questioned. Isn't that supposed to be math? Not science. Will commented with a groan. Sounds more like Spanish. Heylin lightly complained. Come on, this stuff isn't all that hard to figure out. Alchemy said as she looked at some of her notes. Girls, your science midterm is next week. Jackie told them. Let's keep going. How come we're studying lame science but Toru and Caleb get all the fun magic stuff? Jade complained, causing Jackie to roll his eyes slightly as the group glanced at the table on the other side. Uncle is waiting. The Elder Kai wizard held a flashcard with a symbol on it in front of the pair. Caleb looked about as bored as ever, but Toru tried to think of the answer. I don't know, a passling repellent. Ow. Caleb felt a slap on his forehead. Incorrect. Toru, answer. Uncle asked his apprentice. Oh, I know this one. Toru stated. That is the symbol for a conjuring spell, one that requires garlic, and ginger. Correct. Uncle replied. If you were making chicken chow mein. That exclamation not only blew Toru and Caleb back, but also got the attention of everyone else. I don't see why we have to know all this fancy magic stuff. Caleb stated. Just give me a sword and the bad guys will go down easy. Have you not been paying attention to recent events? Uncle reminded. Now that Phobos has Elleon by his side, his forces will do what they must to protect her. Phobos cannot take her magic now, so he has swayed her to his side, and in order for her to stay in his confidence, he will act most cunning. Therefore, we must be prepared for whatever trick the forces of darkness has planned for us. Meridian. Elleon continued to roam through the royal gardens, still under the illusion spell placed by her older brother, before she kneeled down to a pond and fed some ducklings some breadcrumbs before they swam away. As she looked in the water, she saw the reflection of Phobos standing over her. I've noticed something on your mind, Elleon. Phobos said. What troubles you? The girl sighed for a moment before she stood up. I'm from Meridian, but how did I end up on Earth? What happened to me? Phobos motioned for her to sit down with him on a nearby stone bench, which she did. Elleon, I'm sure you've noticed that you wield incredible magic power. Phobos began. The reason for that is because you are the heir to the throne. Elleon looked both surprised and confused. Wait, but you're my older brother. How can I be the heir, shouldn't it be you? That's not how it works. Phobos explained. Meridian's royal line is based on matrilineal succession, so only a queen may rule, or a king consort should the queen choose to marry. So, you can't be king? Elleon asked in a sympathetic tone. That must suck, I'm sorry. It's quite alright. Phobos assured with a feigning smile. I've accepted that a long time ago. But, back to the topic at hand, because you are the heir, you wield more power than anyone in Meridian, and your power will only continue to grow. However, there are those that wished to obtain your power for themselves. Shortly after your birth, those assailants had infiltrated the castle, and murdered our parents in their sleep. Elleon gasped as a pained look fell on Phobos' face before he continued. After that, they stole you from the castle, while also framing me for the deed, and used the ensuing chaos to escape. I am still uncertain as to how you ended up on Earth of all places, and I am truly sorry it took so long to find you. Because of our parents' murder, I stepped up and attempted to bring order to our kingdom. But the true culprits spread lies and deceit, claiming me to be the murderer of not only my parents but you so that I could become the ruler of Meridian. Elleon continued to listen to her brother as she felt a great deal of sympathy toward him. Because of that, the assailants had used these lies to create a rebellion, thus beginning a war that has lasted many years, more than a decade even. I have tried to bring order and peace, while also doing everything I can to find you, but after so long, I had to assume. Phobos gave a small sigh before finishing. I had thought they had killed you. Elleon looked in shock at that particular statement and looked upon her brother with pity upon seeing the look on his face. Perhaps if I had been stronger, I could have saved you, and we would have been together. He felt a pressure around his right arm as he looked to see Elleon hugging it as she looked up to him with a smile. We're together now, that's all that matters, she said sincerely, to which her brother smiled as he returned the embrace with his own. I'm so sorry you had to deal with all that all by yourself. It must have been so lonely. Fortunately, I have had those who remained loyal to assist me. Phobos said. But, not a day goes by that I don't miss mother and father, and you. And you still don't know who killed them? Elleon asked. Unfortunately. Phobos confirmed. They've proven to be very adept at hiding themselves. And while I have no proof of this, I believe that the ones who murdered our parents were also responsible for giving your friends the heart of Kandrakar, in order to turn them into their own personal enforcers. What? That really made Elleon upset. They did that to my friends. She clenched her fists as she stood up with determination. Phobos, I want you to teach me how to use magic. He looked in surprise as she continued. I want to save my friends. If we work together, I'm sure we can show Meridian that you're not really the bad guy, and we can find out who really killed our parents and see to it they get what's coming to them. Though surprised at first, Phobos smiled as he stood up. I will do everything I can to help you master your power, Elleon. But be careful. Phobos told her. The rebellion, and by extension your friends, believe you to be my prisoner. They'll do what they can to try and rescue you, while the mastermind waits in the shadows to try and take your power. So, until you've mastered your power, I don't want you to leave the castle grounds, and I'll even assign a few bodyguards to remain by your side. Elleon smiled slightly before a joking face formed. It feels like I'm being grounded almost. She joked. Phobos gave an amused half smirk. Forgive me, but I lost once. I'd rather not lose you again. You won't lose me. Elleon promised as she gave her brother another hug. I know we only met recently but, you're my big brother. And I love you. Phobos returned the gesture. I love you too. Much of what Phobos said was indeed true. He was not the culprit for his parents' murder. Someone else had assassinated them in their sleep and was likely the one who stole Elleon away. And he did indeed try to bring order to Meridian, but once his framed crime was leaked to the public, most quickly turned against him and the rebellion was formed. However, once he had Elleon's power, he would see to it that nobody would ever threaten his realm again. My prince. Cedric had approached the pair as he gave a bow. Daolan Wang has need of you. Getting the subtle message in his right hand's request, Phobos stood up. I have to go Elleon, I'll be back soon. Alright. Elleon nodded as she walked away, with Phobos following Cedric in another direction. Once inside the castle, and proceeding to the lower levels, Cedric was allowed to speak freely. My lord, if I may, what exactly do you plan to do with Elleon once you've acquired her powers? After I've absorbed all her power, I will erase her memory of everything magical related and return her to Earth, as though she was never in Meridian to begin with. Phobos answered. As far as she'll know, she's a simple mortal girl. Cedric was somewhat surprised by that. Forgive me, my prince, but that seems rather lenient of you. Phobos turned with a minor glare to the shapeshifter. She's the only flesh and blood relative I have left. I have done many things in the past 13 years, but I will not become the heartless monster that those foolish rebels claim me to be. Once I have her full power, I will end all conflict in Meridian and our realm will finally be at peace. And I will not hear another word of it, understood Cedric. Though he narrowed his eyes slightly, Cedric bowed in response. Clearly, your majesty. Once Phobos turned to proceed further down the stairs, Cedric glared slightly in his direction. He is far too soft. But that may not matter. Once he has acquired Elleon's power, I will take both of theirs for myself. And Meridian will be my realm to rule. The pair had finally made it to Daolon Wang's personal chambers as his Dark Kai enforcers, along with Frost, had gathered several key ingredients from across Meridian. Passling ash. Wang required as he held his hand out. Check. Chow put a tube of ash in his hands, which Wang poured into his cauldron, filled with a dark blue liquid. Hug and eyes. Wang required the next ingredient. Finn shivered as he gave Wang a sack of the eyeballs in question. Check. Wang poured them into the cauldron as well. Ground gargoyle wins. Wang listed another ingredient. You wouldn't believe how hard it was to ground this. Ratso said as he handed him a tray of the ground substance, which Wang poured into the cauldron. Finally, the blood of a dragon. Wang looked towards Frost who glared. This had better be worth it. Frost said as he handed Wang a sack of the aforementioned blood. Do you have any idea how rare dragons are in Meridian? I may be the best hunter in this kingdom, but finding rare and endangered species is more than difficult. Wang poured the contents into the cauldron. You needn't worry. I have amassed the necessary spell ingredients to increase the power of our Shotokan forces. I had thought the Shotokan were already under our control. Cedric said as he and Phobos walked closer. While this is true, we've only been scratching the surface. Wang explained. My studies have shown me that there is far more to the Shotokan than we can know. And while the princess may be on our side, her friends will undoubtedly try to rescue her. We need to be prepared as they will likely bring more effort into this conflict. Do what you must, but I'd best be satisfied with the results, wizard. Phobos warned. Wang gave an annoyed glance as he began to recite a dark chant, while waving his hands over the cauldron as the bubbling dark liquid began to spin and twirl. Soon, the symbol of the Shotokan had formed in the liquid. Yes, it is working. A dark blue light shined out of the cauldron, getting their attention. Come forth, my Shotokan minions. Phobos stated with a smirk as he walked in front of the cauldron. Come my army and unleash your darkness. Your army. A new and demonic voice spoke up, surprising all the bad guys present as they looked into the bubbling liquid to see a red, horned, demonic face with yellow eyes and white facial hair actually speaking to them. I am the one and only king of the Shotokan. What is this? Phobos questioned as the others could only look in confusion, but Wang seemed to recognize this being. Tarakudo. Awakened. The stunned Dark Kai wizard voiced his surprise aloud. And ready to reclaim my ninja magic. The being apparently named Tarakudo stated. A task for which I will require assistance. He said somewhat embarrassingly before he materialized himself in the form of a large floating demonic head above the villains, much to theirs, and even Phobos' surprise. Tarakudo concentrated as a psychic wave was unleashed from his head, allowing him to telekinetically grab Daolon Wang, Cedric, Frost, and even the Dark Kai warriors before he unleashed another psychic wave to blast a hole into the wall, allowing him to fly outside while also telekinetically carrying the villains with him, leaving only Phobos as even he could only look in shock over what had just happened. The floating demonic head had made its way to the surface as he floated in the air to observe the land around him with the villains floating in tow. This doesn't look like Earth. He brought the villains in front of him. Tell me, what place is this? Despite all of them, especially the Dark Kai enforcers, being stunned about floating in midair like this, Wang was the first to answer. Dark One, you dwell within the world of Meridian, a separate realm from the Earth. I see. Tarakudo began to laminate as he overlooked the landscape of Meridian once more. So, there are other realms besides Earth, the Shadow Realm, and the Netherworld. How interesting. But I must get to Earth. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait for a portal to show up. Finn said. Cause there's this magic wall thing that keeps Earth and Meridian separate. Chow added. And it's not the kind of wall that you can break down with a hammer. It's kinda hard to explain. Ratso also said. Be silent. Cedric told them before he addressed Tarakudo, using this as an opportunity to understand the Shotokan a bit more. If you would like, I can show you how to find a portal. That won't be necessary. Tarakudo stated as he floated himself, and the villains he still had in his telekinetic grip, closer to the ground. My minions and I were able to traverse between the Shadow Realm and Earth with relative ease. Traversing into the Shadow Realm and using that to cross into Earth shouldn't be too difficult. He concentrated on a rock as a symbol, which appeared to be a carving of his face, was etched onto the rock before a swirling black portal opened up in front of him. You might wanna hold your breath. Tarakudo advised the other villains as he flew into the portal, with them being pulled in as well. Earth. Captain Black's van suddenly pulled up to Uncle's Rare Finds as the head of Section 13 ran into the store where Jackie, his family and friends, including all the girls, were. Jackie, Section 13 has spotted Cedric, Daolon Wong, and their buddies in Heatherfield. That got all their attention. The bad guys are here. Awesome. Jade smirked as Will quickly pulled out the map and shined the heart of Kandrakar over it, only to see nothing appearing. What? No portals? Will voiced in surprise as everyone else looked in surprise and confusion. I'm sorry, but why are we looking for portals? Alchemy asked, still not completely used to all this magic business. It's how the bad guys crossed to Earth from Meridian. Cornelia explained. Oh, right, Alchemy said. But if there's no portal, how did they get here? Hey Lin asked. Maybe they used that inversion point again at Cedric's old bookstore. Terani asked. Yes, that may be the only explanation. Jackie assumed. We can ask them ourselves once we find them. Caleb stated. Hold your horses, rebel boy. We still have no idea where they are. Irma told him. Captain Black's phone rang, which he promptly answered. Black, the airport, send in every available agent. Uncle quickly snatched the phone away, much to Black's surprise. Your assistance will not be necessary. Magic will defeat magic. Goodbye. He threw the phone away as he was the first to walk outside, followed by Toru and everyone else. Portal or no portal, the forces of darkness have entered our world. We must find and defeat them. Hurry. Yes. Jade stated as she ran out, alongside Alchemy. Alright, time for some action. Alchemy also said excitedly, only for Jackie to block their path. No, you two are staying here. What? Both girls exclaimed at the same time. But I thought you said I could come on missions now. Jade complained. And I want to help. Alchemy also shouted. Alchemy, no offense, but do you have any idea how to fight magic? Cornelia questioned, causing Alchemy to sulk as she couldn't come up with an answer. But I know how to fight magic. Jade stated. Jade, you still have a test to study for. Jackie told her. Jade groaned as she and Alchemy walked away. Sorry guys. Lin smiled apologetically as the van drove away with everyone else. Well, this sucks. Alchemy complained as she and Jade saw the van drive away. They're fighting some kind of big bad evil and we can't do anything to help them. Who said we can't? Jade gave a knowing smirk. Airport. Serve me well and your reward will be great. Tarakudo told the villains comprised of Cedric, Frost, Wong, and his Dark Kai enforcers, all of whom stood on the tailway just outside an airport dock. Sir, Frost exclaimed in anger before glaring at the floating demon. Listen closely, I am Meridian's greatest hunter alive. I serve only Phobos, not some. His ranting was brought to a halt as the humanoid Cedric placed his hand in front of the hunter. Forgive me, Tarakudo, was it? Cedric spoke professionally. Though we are already in service to Prince Phobos, I see no reason why we can't work together. Perhaps we can find a mutually beneficial agreement in doing so. Tarakudo looked rather impressed. Ah, it seems someone here knows how to make deals. Very well, but before we talk, we must first acquire something of mine that I lost long ago. Now, where might I find this airplane vehicle you mentioned? Oh, there's one in there. Ratso pointed to a private jet that was unmanned at the moment inside a building. You guys know how to hotwire a plane, right? He asked his friends. We hotwired cars before, but never airplanes. Chow shrugged. How hard can it be? Finn asked as they walked inside toward the plane. Not long after that, however, Captain Black's van rolled up as Jackie, Will, Irma, Toru, Uncle, Caleb, Cornelia, Lin, Terani, and Captain Black all came out. Visitors? Tarakudo asked. Chan, the Guardians, and their allies. Cedric responded. These fools are always getting in our way. Frost scowled. Perhaps now might be the time to unleash your Shotokan minions, O mighty Tarakudo. Daolon Wong spoke to the demon in question. Not just yet. Tarakudo answered, "It's been several centuries since I've been in a fight. Time to stretch my legs, metaphorically speaking anyway." Tarakudo gave a demonic roar as he shot at the heroes and hovered over them. They all looked in surprise and shock, while the 5 girls practically screamed as they all fell flat on their backs. "Is that a floating head?" Will almost scream. "Okay, that's actually kinda terrifying." Lin practically shivered at the sight. "Caleb," Cornelia asked the rebel leader, who looked about as stunned as they did. "Never seen that thing before," Caleb stated as he was already on his feet and ready for a fight. However, Toru appeared the most terrified as his pupils shrunk. "Oni. Uncle." Jackie asked his uncle, hoping he had an answer for what this being was. "The symbol of the Shotokan," Uncle exclaimed, recognizing the face of the demon. "What fun is a symbol, without drums?" Tarakudo teased as he used his powers to telekinetically lift a series of barrels and threw them at the heroes, forcing them to scatter and avoid them. All save for Toru, who appeared to be frozen with fear. "Toru." Captain Black tried to push the large sumo out of the way. "Come on, big fella. Trying to save you a nasty bruise here." However, he was quickly hit and knocked down by a barrel, which appeared to knock Toru out of his trance. Captain Black. Toru was quick to run and pick up the unconscious captain and move him to safety. Meanwhile, Jackie and Caleb went on the offensive as the engaged Cedric and Frost respectively, while Uncle entered a magic duel with Daolan Wang. Cedric ducked underneath Jackie's kick before he backed up and transformed into his massive snake man form, much to Tarakudo's pleasant surprise. A shapeshifter. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Tarakudo mused as he saw Cedric re-engage Jackie while Caleb continued to parry punches from Frost before the floating head directed his attention toward the regrouping girls. Will was among the first to get serious as she immediately took out the heart of Kandrakar and say the magic words. "Guardians unite." Tarakudo had to wince slightly at the bright light as he bore witness to the transformation of the 5 mortal girls into the powerful guardians known as Witch. Now that's something new. "You like that? Well, you're really gonna love this." Irma thrusted her hands forward as she shot a blast of water at him, but Tarakudo was able to use his powers to erect an invisible psychic barrier to block the water, much to Irma's surprise. Cornelia was next as she tried to grow a series of plant tendrils from the ground to completely ensnare Tarakudo, only for him to easily phase through the plants as if they weren't even there. He felt a powerful breeze try to blast him from above, courtesy of Lin, who tried to hit him with a point-blank air attack from her mouth, but it barely blew him away as it only ruffled his facial hair and eyebrows a little bit. Terani tried to summon a series of fireballs which she threw at him, but much like with Irma's attack, Tarakudo unleashed a psychic wave to blast them back. "Ah, you wield elemental magic," Tarakudo observed as Irma, Lin, Terani, and Cornelia hovered in front of him to blast their respective elements at him, or a large rock from the ground in Cornelia's case. A certainly powerful ability. But I'm afraid you're all still relatively inexperienced with your power. Using his own psychic powers, Tarakudo telekinetically took control of each attack, pulled them around his floating self, and shot them back at the surprised guardians. The air attack hit Cornelia, the rock hit Irma, the water burst hit Terani, and the fireball hit Lin, as all 4 of them were knocked onto the ground. Will tried to fly down on Tarakudo with a kick to get him from behind, but she was quickly answered by his psychic powers and brought up to his face. "You don't have any elemental powers, do you?" the demon head asked as Will struggled in his grip. Tarakudo however got a good look at the heart of Kandrakar. "Or maybe you do, but it's just not active yet. Perhaps your powers have been weakened somehow." "What are you talking about?" Will questioned. Tarakudo however paid it no mind. "No matter, it's not my concern at the moment." He quickly threw Will to the ground as she skid towards an airplane. "Ow. Will, are you alright?" Alchemy asked as she and Jade tried to help her up. "Yeah, I'm fine." Her eyes quickly widened as she turned around to see her 2 non-magic friends. "Jade. Alchemy. Should you really be surprised at this point?" Jade raised an eyebrow with a smirk, causing Will to roll her eyes in annoyance. Alchemy gave a sudden scream as she noticed the approaching Tarakudo, causing Will and Jade to turn around and see the floating demon head. Whoa, even Jade was surprised to see something like this. However, once Tarakudo set his eyes upon Jade, he recognized her. For a brief moment, he saw her in a different appearance. One with pale blue skin, red eyes, a long black with a dark purple, spiky, top. The former queen of the Shotokan. An intrigued smile formed on his face. Returning to the forces of darkness. Will quickly grabbed onto Jade and Alchemy and tried to fly away. Sorry. Not happening. What Will said. Jade quickly agreed. In time, Tarakudo said with a patient sigh. You're young. A blast of Kai magic tried to strike him from behind, only for it to pass right through him. Tarakudo turned around to see Toru trying to blast him with Kai magic with his blowfish, with Terani and Irma backing him up with blasts of fire and water respectively, but he simply curved them away with his own psychic powers. Sensei, the spells are not working. Toru called out to Uncle, who was still busy in a wizard duel with Daolan Wang, clashing their respective spells from their blowfish and dark scepter, though it seemed Daolan Wang had the advantage as he pressed on to blast Uncle back into Toru while Tarakudo also used his powers to blast back Irma and Terani as all four of them collided. That is because you do not study hard enough. Uncle chastised his apprentice. Meanwhile, Jackie continued to dodge and parry the massive fists from Cedric as the humanoid snake tried to lash out his tail at him, but Jackie leapt over it before jumping straight to Cedric's face to land a solid punch to knock him down. Jackie quickly waved his hand and sore knuckles as Cedric attempted to pick himself up and tried to smash his fists onto Jackie, but Heilin had created a tornado around Jackie and used the air to pull him out of the way. At the same time, Caleb threw a punch to Frost, who caught it relatively easy before picking up Caleb and throwing him away. However, Frost had little time to celebrate as a series of plant tendrils shot from the ground under him to propel him into the air straight towards Cornelia, who landed a solid punch on his face to knock him to the ground, close to the regrouping Cedric and Daolan Wang. All the heroes had regrouped together as well as Will set down Jade and Alchemy behind all of them and prepared themselves to re-engage the enemy. However, before the fights could resume, a private jet began to pull out of the nearby hangar, the same one the Dark Kai enforcers had managed to steal and operate. Gentlemen, Tarakudo hovered over Wang, Frost, and Cedric. I do believe our flight is departing. With that, Wang had waved his scepter, creating a large plume of dark smoke to engulf himself, Cedric, and Frost before they vanished completely, while Tarakudo simply vanished into thin air with his own powers. Where did they go? Caleb questioned. Where do you think? Cornelia replied as she pointed to the plane that was already pulling out and gaining speed on the runway. Jackie. Captain Black called to him as he had commandeered a staircase truck and had gunned it straight towards the departing plane as the five guardians tried to fly and catch up with it as well, leaving Jade, Toru, Uncle, Alchemy, and Caleb behind. The pursuing heroes were close to catching up with it, but Chow, who was at the controls, began to pull the plane up into the air. Will and Terani were able to grab onto the tail of the airplane as Irma and Cornelia tried to grab onto the right wing, with Heilin on the left. At the same time, Jackie had leapt from the top of Captain Black's improvised ride as it was pulled underneath the ascending plane. Jackie was able to grab onto the front wheels as they were pulled into the plane. However, the five guardians weren't so lucky as they each lost their grip one by one before the plane pulled away from them and shot into the air. There's no way we can catch up to an airplane, Will exclaimed. And even if we could, I doubt even our guardian powers can protect us from the lack of oxygen that high up. Terani added. Don't worry, I think I saw Jackie get on board. Heilin said. Wait. Jackie all alone, with three of our biggest baddies, and a floating head that whipped the runway with all five of us. Cornelia questioned as all the girls winced in realization. Yeah, that's not gonna be pretty. Irma said. Jackie opened the floorboard as he got into the main compartment of the jet, only for Frost to hold out a bag in front of him. Ordinarily, I'd crush you without a moment's hesitation. Frost commented. His face looked green. But, I think air travel isn't agreeing with me. Frost ended up puking into the bag. Don't worry Frosty. Finn smirked as he, Ratso, Wang, and Cedric, back in his humanoid form, had already sat down and buckled up. You ain't the only one about to feel air sickness. He opened the emergency hatch on the wall, causing a vacuum to pull Jackie out of the plane. Hopefully that will finally rid us of that meddlesome fool. Wang sneered. As the Guardians are capable of flight, however, that seems unlikely. Cedric said. Bad day. Bad day. Bad day. Bad day. Jackie screamed as he fell from the sky towards the ground. However, he wouldn't have to worry for very long as Lin quickly flew upwards to create a vortex of wind to slow Jackie's descent, allowing Will and Cornelia to fly in and grab him by the shoulders. And that's why you don't exit out of an aircraft without a parachute. Cornelia attempted a joke as Jackie tried to catch his breath. Thank you, Jackie said sincerely as they descend slowly to the ground. So, I'm guessing this means you're never gonna go skydiving, right? Will tried to joke as well, resulting in Jackie giving a half smirk as they set him down on the ground with Lin, Irma, and Terani flying down to meet them, Captain Black, Toru, Uncle, Caleb, Jade, and Alchemy running up as well. Jackie, are you alright? Jade asked urgently. Yes Jade, I'm. His eyes quickly widened as he only just now realized his niece was here. Jade, how did you even get here? You really want me to answer that? Jade responded. No time for this, Uncle quickly stated, getting everyone's attention. Quickly, now, we must follow Floating Head. This only earned a fearful groan from Toru. Later that night, Jackie, Will, Lin, Toru, Irma, Cornelia, Caleb, Terani, and Uncle rode in a private jet that Captain Black arranged for them as they tried to follow the path of the plane the villains stole. Earth has vehicles that can actually fly through the air. Caleb wondered aloud as he looked out the window with Cornelia sitting next to him. Well, color me impressed. Who would have thought there'd be something on Earth that you would actually like? Cornelia joked. I didn't say I didn't like Earth. Caleb said. It does have some good things to it. He smiled at Cornelia, as she blushed and tried to brush her hair back. Yeah, alright. Lin spoke over her cell phone. Thanks again Grandma. Okay. Love you too. Bye. She hung up as she spoke to everyone else. I just got off the phone with Grandma. She said she'll cover us with all our parents. Be sure to text her a thank you from us. Will said. I'm still not comfortable with having her lie to your parents like this. Jackie said as he looked at the radar on his laptop. Would you rather prefer to tell them that we're fighting evil monsters and wizards from another dimension? Irma asked somewhat sarcastically. I'd at least like to find out what our newest bad guy is. Terani said as she did some typing on her laptop. You said it was related to the Shotokan. Yes, the symbol of the Shotokan. Uncle answered as Toru continued to sleep on the chair across from his sensei. Though from the sound of it, it wasn't exactly a pleasant dream. The young child Toru slept in his room in Japan as a shadow of a horned creature loomed over him, its silhouette seen through the screen of his door. He was brought awake by the creeping sound of his door opening, though he was startled at the shape of the silhouette. Young Toru quickly covered his mouth and hid underneath his blanket. He peeked one out as he could scarcely make out features that weren't human on the creature behind his door. His eyes shook before the monster behind it opened it up with a roar. Mommy. Toru was startled awake as everyone looked to him with surprise and concern. Toru. Jackie, Uncle, and Caleb asked at the same time. Whoa, are you okay big guy? Lin asked with concern. Toru laughed nervously as he wiped the sweat from his face. Bad dream. Let me guess. Jade revealed herself, as well as Alchemy, from the upper compartment. Mr. Creepy Head. Jade, Alchemy, Will questioned. Oh, why am I even surprised? She muttered to herself. You two are supposed to be with Captain Black. Jackie chastised. We're your backup. Alchemy said as she and Jade got down. No offense, but you guys didn't seem to do well against that head thing. Right. And you got any ideas on how to take that thing down? Cornelia questioned irritably. We'll think of something. Jade shrugged. Lin sighed as she pulled her cell phone back out. I'll text Grandma about your parents too, Alchemy. The head, Toru got everyone's attention. It reminded me of the Oni. The what? Irma asked. When I was a child growing up in Japan, my mother told me tales of the Oni. Toru explained. Hideous horned demons, who would sneak into the rooms of disobedient children. And what did they want with these, disobedient children? Jackie asked in a joking sense as he spared a glance at Jade, who only stuck her tongue out at him in response. The Oni would, Toru gulped. Eat their souls. Okay, that sounds pretty terrifying actually. Caleb said with widened eyes. So that head thing eats kids' souls? Lin asked. We're technically teenagers, so does that mean we've passed the expiration date? She asked with a nervous laugh. It's like some kind of Japanese boogeyman. Alchemy said. Uncle gave a scoff. Fairy tales. Floating head cannot be Oni. It can't. Toru asked in a hopeful and relieved tone of voice. Of course not. Uncle stated. Everyone who has controlled the Shotokan has been Chinese. Shendu, Chinese, Daolan Wang, Chinese, but Oni are Japanese. Phobos isn't Chinese and the Shotokan work for him. Caleb added. Shotokan work for Phobos through Daolan Wang who is Chinese. Uncle replied. But the Shotokan are ninjas, and aren't ninjas supposed to be Japanese? Will asked. Yes, that's exactly right. Terani said as she was on her laptop, prompting most of her friends to get in close. I've been doing some research. Ninjas did originate from Japan, and certain Japanese myths actually depict ninjas as tengu, which is often used to associate with goblins or even demons. But I haven't seen anything Oni related. At least not yet. Well, whatever's the case, that floating head thing is definitely the original owner of the Shotokan. Will said, that much everyone can agree on. So, is he Japanese or Chinese? Alchemy asked. I am telling you, floating head is Chinese. Uncle stated. Well, I think he's Japanese. Terani argued, but upon seeing Toru shiver, she quickly spoke to him. But I'm not saying he's Oni. Maybe he's a demon who doesn't eat kids' souls. And why would you even be worried about that? Cornelia asked. You're a grown man, Toru. I'm pretty sure he's not interested in your soul if they eat kids' souls. If that's true, why did he have Daolan Wang, Cedric, and Frost with him? Caleb asked. They work for Phobos. Duh. It's a classic supervillain team-up. Jade stated. Haven't you read any comic books? Great, but how are we supposed to fight him when that thing took us all down without even trying? Irma asked before leaning to Toru and whispering to him. By the way, you wouldn't happen to still remember any of those Oni stories, would you? I'd like to try them on Chris so I can traumatize him into not being such a nuisance. Suddenly, Jackie's laptop lit up, getting everyone's attention as Jackie looked at the computer. Radar indicates that the stolen airplane has landed in Hong Kong. See, Hong Kong, Chinese. Uncle said with a victorious smirk as Terani, Cornelia, and Caleb all rolled their eyes. Once they landed, all the heroes followed the trail of the villains they were pursuing and found themselves standing before a set of familiar ruins that the Chan clan immediately recognized. Shendu's palace. Jackie questioned. Wow, Father Time really took a baseball bat to this place. Irma commented on the bad condition the ruins were in. Actually, Jackie and I did that, after we kicked Shendu's dragon butt. Jade smirked as she performed a kick for emphasis. But why did they come here? Caleb asked. Shendu collected many artifacts possessing great magic. Uncle replied. Floating head may be seeking one of these. Hey guys, over here. Will called to them as she found a rather large hole which she had inspected. Looks like this was dug up recently. Then into the rabbit hole we go. Cornelia said. Except we're not going into Wonderland. Terani commented. Though most of the group had already gone inside, Toru seemed rather hesitant. I will stand guard outside. Don't worry Toru, we're here for you. Heylin assured as she and Alchemy each held his hand. Besides, it's just a silly old head, right? Alchemy tried to calm him down. Toru gulped. Just a silly old, soul-stealing, Shotokan-controlling, head. This caused both Heylin and Alchemy to look nervous themselves as they ended up holding Toru's hands even tighter for their own comfort before the trio followed their friends underground. Meanwhile, Tarakudo had led Cedric, Wang, Frost, and the trio of Dark Kai enforcers through the maze of underground tunnels underneath the ruined palace before finally making it to their destination. Which appeared to be a large chamber filled with all sorts of treasures, but what Tarakudo was focused on was the large stone chest that laid in the middle of it. Ah, consider it a gift. Tarakudo said as he led the villains closer to it. Ooh, just like Christmas. Ratso said excitedly. Bet there's a ton of treasure in it. Chow seemed just excited. Quit your childish antics and open it. Wang ordered them as the Dark Kai enforcers and Frost used their combined strength to open the stone lid to reveal the contents inside. A mask. Cedric voiced his curiosity aloud upon seeing a dark red demonic-looking mask with green hair on the back and short yellow horns at the top, an open mouth with yellow teeth, and bright red eyes. Dude, we came all this way for a mask. Finn questioned. I've hunted animals that were more valuable than this piece of junk. Frost said in a disappointed tone. This piece of junk is what Shendu drew the power necessary to control his Shotokan army. Tarakudo explained. And through which your magic, Daolan Wang, channeled that very same power. So, this mask is the source of the Shotokan. Cedric mused with an intrigued smirk. However, none of the villains appeared to notice that the heroes have caught up with them and hid behind the entrance, having heard everything the villains all said. Will looked toward Jackie as he had a serious expression on his face before nodding to her, giving her the signal to bring out the heart of Kandrakar. Seeing how you look so interested, Cedric, perhaps you'd like to see how it fits. Tarakudo suggested. Cedric picked up the mask to inspect it himself. He'd be a fool to say he wasn't cautious. There was apparently a lot more to the Shotokan than he originally felt, and he wasn't about to blindly follow the apparent king of the Shotokan without knowing all the details. However, his contemplation was brought to an end as a bright pink flash blinded and surprised all the villains. Using the flash to his advantage, Jackie was quick to run in and pull the mask from Cedric's hands before kicking him in the chest to knock him back. When the flash subsided, Jackie leapt back with the mask to regroup with the transformed guardians, along with Jade, Uncle, Caleb, Toru, and Alchemy. Upon seeing the heroes, Cedric immediately got back up and transformed into his humongous snake form. He tried to lunge at them, only for his path to be barred by Toru, who grappled and wrestled with the humanoid snake. Daolan Wang tried to blast Dark Kai magic at Irma and Hei Lin, who combined their respective water and wind power for a surging storm attack, which they unleashed on the Dark Kai wizard to not only override his attack, but also blast him all the way to a pile of treasure on the other side of the chamber. The Dark Kai enforcers and Frost tried to charge Jackie, Will, Caleb, Cornelia, and Terani as the bespectacled girl unleashed a torrent of fire, forcing many of them to scatter as one fireball hit Chow, causing him to explode and vanish in a plume of dark smoke, while Jackie and Caleb both leapt into the air to deliver a double flying kick to Frost to send him crashing into Cedric, who was still wrestling Toru. Cornelia shot several rocks from the ground to send both Finn and Ratso flying, as Will met Finn in the air to deliver an airborne roundhouse to send Finn crashing hard on the ground, where he vanished. Ratso was the only surviving Dark Kai warrior as he landed on the ground in front of the hovering Tarakudo. Again, the floating demon head questioned in annoyance. Who are these people? Well, Jackie Chan is some kind of do-gooder. Ratso explained. Those fairy girls are some kind of magic guardians, and the big guy over there used to be one of us, but now he's on their side, and that kid is some kind of rebel leader, and the old guy pointing a blowfish, he was silenced by a Kai blast from Uncle, causing the Dark Kai enforcer to vanish. Uncle blew the smoke from his blowfish like a cowboy as he stood alongside a smirking Jade and Alchemy. Who else wants a piece of Uncle? He challenged. Bad guys beware, because J-Witch is in the house. Irma smirked as the five guardians regrouped along with Jackie, Caleb, and Toru. Tarakudo glared at the heroes in question. You have no idea who you are dealing with. And just who are we dealing with? Will questioned with a glare of her own. No, seriously, who are you? Hei Lin asked as well. Because we've been wondering this whole time and we don't even know what you are. Bow before Tarakudo. The floating demon head announced dramatically. King of all Shotokan. Lord of all Oni. Uncle gave a gasp of realization. So, you are Japanese. Told ya. Terani smirked at Uncle. Tarakudo unleashed a powerful psychic blast that knocked back all the heroes. And now you know, he remarked to them. The recovering Daolan Wang noticed the mask that fell from Jackie's grip once the heroes were blasted back by Tarakudo. Retrieve the mask, the Dark Kai wizard ordered as Cedric recovered to try and slither for it. Jackie quickly ran and slid toward the mask before the humanoid snake could reach it and kicked it across the ground. Cornelia. Jackie was then pinned to the ground by Cedric as the blonde guardian used her earth powers to shoot the mask into the air where she tried to grab it. I got it. However, the mask was pulled through the air away from her, courtesy of Tarakudo's own psychic powers. Mind over matter. Tarakudo lifted the mask towards himself, but Hei Lin quickly flew in to unleash a powerful blast of wind from a breath of her mouth to blow the mask away before she quickly flew in to grab it herself. However, she was blasted out of the air in the back by Daolan Wang as the mask fell towards him. However, Jade tried to run and stop him, only for Frost to run towards her from the opposite direction to try and stop her. "Mine." "I don't think so," Frost stated as they both leapt, only to end up crashing into Wong just before he could reach the mask. The mask fell in the scuffle and accidentally landed directly on the face of Frost the Hunter. The second the mask made contact with Frost's face, it grew around him to completely engulf his head before the mask essentially merged with Frost himself. What is going?" Frost questioned as he felt a surge of power flow through his body as he stood up to reveal the mask was now a part of his face as he gave a demonic growl. Jackie, Will, Jade, Irma, Uncle, Cornelia, Toru, Heilin, Terani, Alchemy, and Caleb all looked in complete and utter shock at Frost's new appearance, as even Cedric and Wong were caught off guard. "What just happened?" Caleb questioned. "It looks like that mask thing merged with his face," Terani said. "It kinda looks like it is his face now," Alchemy questioned, sounding rather disturbed herself. "Handsome devil, isn't he?" Tarakudo remarked with a smirk. "Let's allow Frost to familiarize himself with his new powers, while the rest of us make further preparations." Tarakudo then vanished into thin air before Cedric and Daolon Wong were telekinetically lifted into the air by the Oni King's psychic powers and pulled out of the chamber. What does he mean by further preparations?" Jade asked with worry. Jackie, meanwhile, attempted to pull the Oni mask off Frost's face, but it didn't even budge. Frost merely swatted his hand to knock Jackie back. 11 against 1, Oni Frost commented, his voice sounding deeper and more demonic than before. "Now that hardly seems fair." He then unleashed a rather loud roar, which honestly sounded more like an animal call, which wasn't all that inaccurate as the group saw all the shadows in the chamber move directly toward them. Guys," Will said in a frightened tone. "I'm thinking this mask thing gives Frost the power to summon." All the shadows surrounded the group before they solidified in the form of at least 100 familiar ninja-like soldiers. "Shotokan. Get them," Frost ordered, resulting in the Shotokan leaping at the gathered heroes, but Heilin was able to create a powerful tornado to blow all the Shotokan away, allowing the heroes to scatter and gain some breathing room as they faced the recovering enemy forces. Uncle drew his blowfish and immediately opened fire with Kai blasts, while Terani did the same with a series of fireballs to blow up each Shotokan that came close to her. Cornelia tried to use her earth powers to raise a series of plant tendrils from the ground and walls to smack and even impale the incoming Shotokan that came close to her. Heilin hovered in front of a hoard of treasure as she used her air powers to lift several pieces of treasure from the ground and throw them at the charging magic ninjas, scoring several direct hits. Irma used finger guns to try and blast concentrated shots of water as Will flew underneath her to deliver a flying kick to one Shotokan before relying on hand-to-hand to defend herself from several Shotokan soldiers that surrounded and attacked her. Jackie was in a similar scenario, using punches and kicks to knock back the Shotokan that were on the attack. Caleb was kicked back into a pile of treasure by one Shotokan, and as they went on the attack, Caleb was quick to draw a jeweled scepter on instinct and use it as a makeshift weapon to beat the Shotokan back. At least a dozen Shotokan attempted to jump and pile themselves on Toru, but he merely flexed his arms to knock them all back. "Is it always like this for you guys?" Alchemy asked as she and Jade hid behind the same stone chest that the mask was retrieved from. "Oh yeah," Jade replied. They both however saw Toru get knocked down and slide at the feet of Oni Frost. Boo. Toru's childhood fears awakened as he found himself literally paralyzed with fear. "Come on Toru. You faced guys way bigger than him." Heilin called to him as she was on the defensive from several Shotokan herself. "Yeah. Face your fear, T." Jade also called. "Show that demon who's boss." Alchemy also shouted to him. This seemed to work in encouraging Toru to stand up as he tried to leap and overpower Oni Frost with raw strength. However, Oni Frost was able to effortlessly stop and pick up Toru with one hand and hang him over his head, much to the shock of everyone present, including those who were still fighting the Shotokan. "I've lifted bags of flour heavier than this." Oni Frost smirked before he nonchalantly flung Toru behind him into the stone chest that Jade and Alchemy hid behind. Though they were able to get away in time, Toru's impact had shattered the entire chest. "For God's sake, how many Shotokan does this guy have? It's like we're fighting a whole army." Cornelia exclaimed as she flung several rocks and debris at the Shotokan that kept charging her. Uncle was on top of a pile of treasure as he was having similar trouble, barely keeping the Shotokan at bay with his Kai blasts. Though Toru was quick to fly to his aid as she created a ring of fire around themselves to keep the Shotokan at bay. Cornelia's right. We take down more, Frost brings 2 more to take its place. It's like a Hydra, Toru commented. We must remove Demon Mask from host in order to defeat Shotokan. Uncle exclaimed. Jackie, one more thing. You, girls, and rebel leader keep Shotokan busy so Uncle can cast proper spell. What the hell do you think we're doing? Irma exclaimed in frustration as she ducked underneath a hail of shurikens before shooting a point-blank geyser attack from her hands to blast back 3 Shotokan, only for one to leap behind her and knock her down with a kick. She was surrounded by 3 Shotokan who were ready to finish her, but salvation came in the form of Jackie who dropped in with a kick to knock 1 Shotokan back before lashing out 2 punches to knock down the remaining 2 before pulling Irma out of the way. There are too many of them to fight. Jackie stated as he, the Guardians, and Caleb regrouped only to find themselves facing the same number of Shotokan as before. Let's use the tunnels to our advantage. Will said as she gazed back towards the entrance, remembering the maze they had to work their way through before coming here. Come on. Following Will's lead, her fellow Guardians flew with her as Jackie and Caleb ran alongside them, the young rebel leader turning around to call to their mask-wearing adversary. Hey Frost, come and get us, Caleb challenged as they ran into the tunnels. Oni Frost only smirked in anticipation. Let the hunt begin. He ordered his Shotokan to give pursuit as he walked after them, leaving Uncle, Toru, Jade, and Alchemy alone. Sensei, what spell do we need? Toru asked Uncle, who only shrugged as he honestly had no idea. Hey, guys, over here, Alchemy called to them as the pair met her and Jade near the rubble of the stone chest where a large stone tablet was in pieces, but the girls were able to put the pieces together like a puzzle depicting a battle between samurai and demons. Maybe this picture book can help us, Jade said as they tried to make it out. What does it say, Uncle? These are Japanese kanji, Uncle only reads Chinese. The Kai wizard stated. I read Japanese. Toru said. But, it has been many years. In fact, I am probably too shaky so forget that I mentioned. Toru, read kanji now. Uncle ordered. Yes sensei. Toru said immediately. Meanwhile, Jackie, Caleb, and the Guardians continued to try and make their way through the maze of tunnels underneath the ruins of Shendu's palace. You think we lost them? Lin asked in a hopeful tone. In direct response, a Shotokan leapt from the shadows on the side, but Jackie delivered a kick to knock it back as they were quickly surrounded by more than 24 Shotokan soldiers that leapt out of the moving shadows. No Lin, Cornelia replied. I don't think we have. Once again, the Shotokan were on the attack as they leapt at the heroes. Toru and Lin combined their powers to create a vortex of wind and fire to surround and protect themselves and their friends and blow away most of the Shotokan. Once it vanished, the heroes went on the attack as Irma shot a series of water blasts at a group of Shotokan while Cornelia collapsed a section of the ceiling to crush 6 Shotokan at once. Will flew into the air to meet 3 Shotokan, which she was quick to dispatch with a series of punches and kicks. Caleb, still holding the scepter he got from the treasure hoard, used his makeshift weapon as a club to smash down 2 Shotokan that leapt at him before Jackie ducked underneath one punch from a Shotokan, grabbed it by the wrist and fling him over into 3 more before sweeping his feet to knock 4 more down. The kanji tell of ancient warriors who once cast a spell to defeat this Oni. Toru read the inscriptions on the tablet aloud for Uncle, Jade, and Alchemy. Trapping its spirit within the mask. The key ingredient was Japanese steel, specially forged for a samurai sword. Aiya! Uncle exclaimed. We will not find steel of samurai sword here because Shendu is not Japanese. Well, I don't know about a sword, Alchemy said as she picked up one of the shurikens a Shotokan had thrown earlier. But would a ninja star do? Well, it doesn't say, made in Taiwan. Jade assumed as she looked at it before Alchemy handed it to Uncle. Alchemy, what makes you certain this is Japanese steel? Uncle asked upon inspecting the shuriken. Well, Toru did say that ninjas are Japanese, and the Shotokan are ninjas so. She shrugged, sounding rather unsure herself. With no other choice however, the 4 began to work on preparing the spell and hoped it would be enough to defeat Frost and his new Oni powers. Meanwhile, the Guardians, Jackie, and Caleb found themselves literally cornered in a larger chamber with their only exit blocked by 3 dozen Shotokan, and they had no other way to escape. Uh-oh, dead end. Will gulped. Emphasis on dead. Cornelia commented as the group saw the Shotokan part and open a path for Oni Frost to walk in and face the group himself. And now the predator has his prey cornered. Oni Frost smirked almost sadistically. I will rip each of your heats out and eat them whole, he said with a demonic growl. They all seemed rather disturbed by that particular comment. Ah, is it just me, or does he sound even worse than before? Terani noticed. It's not just you, Caleb replied. Frost is evil, but he's never actually eaten people before. It must be the mask, Jackie deduced. It might be corrupting him and turning him into an even worse monster. As if this guy wasn't bad enough, Irma muttered as Oni Frost charged them, forcing them to split up and avoid his crushing fist that cracked the ground where he punched at them. Caleb was the first to attack with a punch, but Oni Frost effortlessly caught it before flinging and using Caleb's own body as a weapon to knock down Haylin and Terani before throwing him at Cornelia to knock them both down. Irma tried to blast him with a point-blank water attack, but Oni Frost quickly ducked and charged Irma to deal a powerful punch into her abdomen, knocking the wind out of her and even spilling some blood from her mouth as she was flung into the air before crashing onto the ground. Will flew down with a kick to Oni Frost's chest and knock him back slightly before she grappled with him and tried to press her own strength against him, but Oni Frost only smiled with an eager growl as he pressed down even more strength, overpowering Will while also attempting to crush her hands in his grip, resulting in Will grunting and even yelling in pain. The pain was fortunately brought to an end as Jackie leapt to deliver a punch to Oni Frost's face and knock him back slightly. Jackie however waved his hand as he gave a slight wince in pain as Will pulled herself back up. Thanks Jackie. However, Jackie didn't get a chance to reply as Oni Frost quickly rushed in to deliver powerful punches to both of them, not even giving them the time to retaliate as they were knocked onto the ground. With his back turned, Caleb, Irma, Haylin, Terani, and Cornelia tried to get the jump on him with their respective powers, or weapon in Caleb's case, but Oni Frost quickly leapt into the air to deliver a series of powerful punches and kicks to knock them all onto the ground in a pile together. He even picked up the scepter Caleb had been using and snapped it in half for emphasis of his own superior strength. It's over, fools, Oni Frost told them as they all groaned and attempted to pull themselves up. However, they all heard a pair of familiar voices reciting an unfamiliar chant from behind. Nukuru, Himen Jaaku. Nukuru, Himen Jaaku. Nukuru, Himen Jaaku. The group turned around to see Toru, with Jade and Alchemy at his sides. Sitting on top of Toru was Uncle as they both recited the chant while Toru held the shuriken as he and Uncle channeled their Kai magic into it. Nukuru, Himen Jaaku. Nukuru, Himen Jaaku. Yes, it is, Jackie said with a relieved smile as the girls and Caleb each shared a smile of their own. A beam of green magic shot from the shuriken toward Jackie as a green aura formed over both his hands, much to his confusion. Jackie, remove mask, Uncle told him. No time to waste, Caleb and Will both leapt behind Oni Frost and grabbed him by the arms while Jackie leapt on top of him and grabbed the mask with his glowing hands. Cornelia and Irma grabbed onto Jackie as they pulled on him, while Haylin and Terani grabbed onto Will and Caleb respectively as they tried to pull Oni Frost back while Jackie attempted to pull the mask off with Cornelia and Haylin pulling on Jackie who tried to pry the mask off. Get them off me, Oni Frost ordered his Shotokan as they quickly leapt to try and pull the heroes off their master. However, this only worked in favor of the heroes as there was more force being applied to pull the mask and Frost apart. It's not coming off, Alchemy and Jade both shouted at the same time. Patience, Uncle told them. It was tough, and they all gave it as much effort as they could, but Jackie, the Guardians, and Caleb, and incidentally the Shotokan, were able to successfully separate the Oni Mask from Frost's face. The force sent all of them flying backwards and apart from one another, skidding on the ground. Jackie looked and saw that the mask was now in his hands, with everyone else seeing the result as well. We did it. We got it off him. Haylin cheered. Frost growled as he quickly pulled himself up. Kill them all. Unfortunately, his Shotokan had already vanished, and he had lost all the strength he gained from the mask. He then looked nervously at the glaring Guardians, Caleb, and Jackie as they pulled themselves up. He backed up slowly, only to back into the larger Toru, who cracked his knuckles. Boo. Knowing he lost this fight, Frost ran away as fast as he could as the heroes regrouped to celebrate. That was a close call. Will said. True, but we still won. Score 1 for the good guys. Irma smirked as she and Jade shared a high five with Cornelia doing the same with alchemy. Perhaps this would be safer in the vault in section 13. Jackie said, referring to the Oni Mask in his hands. That's a good idea. Terani agreed. Best to keep that thing far from Phobos or anyone else like him. Caleb also agreed. New evil Tarakudo has been defeated. Uncle nodded in approval. One more thing. Toru got their attention as he addressed the stone tablet from before that he pieced together, indicating that it wasn't over. Oh no. Jackie face-palmed, having a good idea what was coming next, while the Guardians, Caleb, Uncle, Jade, and Alchemy only looked even more nervous than before. Frost had made it outside the ruins of Shendu's palace as he looked around for any of his allies, but they were nowhere in sight. Just perfect. He spoke in a sigh. How am I supposed to get back to Meridian? He suddenly screamed as he was telekinetically lifted and pulled into the air away from the palace ruins. He was pulled and slammed into the ground near a waterfall where Tarakudo, Cedric, and Daolan Wang were waiting for him. Where is the mask? Wang questioned as Frost picked himself up. They took it. Frost answered with a low growl. I almost had them, but that wizard used some fancy spell to let them pull it off my face. Cedric hissed as he loomed over the frightened hunter. Insolent fool. You have failed. The large shapeshifter was about to punish him, but Tarakudo stopped him from doing so. That's enough. The Oni King said in a calm and patient tone. It is but a minor defeat. Oh, and why is that? Cedric asked. It appears I have underestimated Mr. Chan and these so-called guardians. Tarakudo admitted. Clearly, I need more information, and it seems you might be able to provide me with such. Come, let's return to Meridian. Tarakudo looked towards a large rock as he concentrated and used his powers to carve his symbol onto the rock, causing a dark portal to open up. Our mission has only yet begun. Though surprised, Wang, Cedric, and even Frost were nonetheless intrigued as they followed Tarakudo into the Shadow Realm to cross back into Meridian. Back inside the tunnels, Toru read the contents of tablet for Jackie, the Guardians, Jade, Uncle, Caleb, and Alchemy. It goes on to say that Tarakudo once terrorized the land of ancient Japan with his trusted Oni generals. Each demon general controlled its own army, which were comprised of a different tribe of Shotokan. Wait, tribe? Cornelia asked. You mean, all those Shotokan we've fought before? We're just part of one tribe. Toru confirmed. And if each tribe is different? Heilin begun nervously. What are these other Shotokan like? Irma asked in an equally nervous tone. I would prefer not to have to find out. Jackie said, just as unnerving as everyone else. But I've got a bad feeling we will find out, knowing our luck. Will commented. What does the rest say? Alchemy asked Toru, who continued to read. Tarakudo's reign came to an end when the spirits of his generals were trapped within masks. Toru read. 9 generals, 9 masks. 9 different tribes of Shotokan. Jade asked with a gulp. Each with their own unique powers or abilities. Terani was already sweating. What are we waiting for? Uncle exclaimed. There are 8 more masks, which we must find before forces of darkness do. Let me guess, the masks were scattered across the earth. Jackie assumed. Yep. Toru confirmed. One more thing. What now? Cornelia groaned. Should the 9 masks ever be rejoined, Toru continued to read. Their combined power may summon enough Shotokan to engulf the entire earth in eternal darkness. If they weren't scared before, they certainly were now. It might not just be earth. Caleb said, getting their attention. Tarakudo is definitely a dangerous threat, but those were Phobos henchmen back there. And if those two end up working together, it'll make the situation much bleaker, for both Earth and Meridian. Iya! Uncle exclaimed. Toru must do research. He must. Toru asked worriedly. You were told childhood tales of Oni by mother. Uncle told his apprentice. You read Japanese, you are Japanese, so you must do research. Toru gulped. Yes, sensei. Well, at least you got an assistant to help you out. Terani said as she put her hands on Toru's shoulder, volunteering herself to help. I don't know a whole lot about monsters or Japanese legends, but I still wanna help. Alchemy also volunteered, and since I can't exactly help in a fight. Though still nervous, Toru was nonetheless grateful for their support. Thank you. Well, look at the bright side, Jade said to the rest of her friends. Bright side? Cornelia questioned. As if we didn't have our hands full enough with just Phobos, now we're about to go to war with a floating demon head, his 9 generals, and like a million monster ninjas. How the hell is there a bright side? You guys finally get to embark on an infamous Chan Clan world tour. Jade said, trying to bring some excitement to the group in this otherwise bleak scenario, but it didn't appear to work. Yeah, lucky us, Will muttered as she and Jackie shared nervous expressions. Meridian, Phobos Castle. It was late at night as Elleon had already gone to bed, while the Dark Prince continued to sit on his throne room when the chamber doors opened, allowing Cedric, Daolon Wang, and Frost to enter. So, you have returned. Phobos glared at them, still not pleased how they suddenly vanished on him. There is no need to blame them, Prince Phobos. A new voice said as Tarakudo's face emerged from one of the stained glass windows on the side before he faced the prince. Their disappearance was a result of my own actions. I remember you. Phobos stood from his throne. You claimed to be the king of the Shotokan. Tarakudo, the lord of all Oni, at your service. He introduced himself. I apologize for my earlier rudeness, and I would like to make it up to you with a proposition. I'm listening. Phobos raised a curious eyebrow. For some time, you have been using the Shotokan as enforcers in your rule over this realm of Meridian. Tarakudo began. But what if I were to tell you that you were only scratching the surface of what the Shotokan truly are? That got Phobos' attention as Tarakudo continued to explain. You see, the ones you have been using hail from only one tribe, when in fact, there are a total of 9 tribes of Shotokan, each tribe with their own unique and deadly abilities that are capable of instilling terror into the hearts of even the most disciplined of warriors. And how would one command these tribes, as have apparently been only in command of simply one? Phobos asked. You see, many centuries ago, the spirits of my generals, demons that each led one of the Shotokan tribes, were imprisoned within 9 separate masks. Tarakudo's face shifted to show the previous mask, before shifting to show several different Oni masks of different shapes and colors before reforming his own face. These masks were scattered across the realm of Earth long ago, but I know how to find them. Once a mask is placed on someone's face, that person not only gains the strength and power of the Oni spirit within the mask, but complete and total control over the Shotokan tribe that Demon General commanded. And should all 9 masks be rejoined together, one can summon enough Shotokan to engulf an entire realm into eternal darkness, where all good magic will fade into nothingness. A realm like Earth for instance, or even Meridian. He finished with a smirk. Phobos had an intrigued smile on his face. Well, you certainly have caught my interest, Tarakudo. But few things are without a price, so what is it that you wish in return? Information. Tarakudo answered. Specifically, on our mutual enemy, the ones called Jackie Chan and the Guardians. And seeing as we have a common enemy, I propose an alliance. We will work together to retrieve the masks. I will provide you aid and information regarding the Shotokan, as well as the means to further cement your reign in Meridian. And in return, you tell me everything about Mr. Chan and those young ladies, and assist me in using our combined power to rule over the earth. With our combined powers, we will rule over not just 1, but 2 realms, perhaps even more. That was all Phobos needed to hear as he smiled evilly. Then it seems we have a deal. I would shake your hand, but you don't seem to have any. Tarakudo only smirked somewhat humorously as he used his powers to pull several rocks and pebbles from the ground and bring them together to form a stone hand that he telekinetically controlled and held towards Phobos. Is that better? Without a doubt in mind, Phobos shook the stone hand with his own, thereby solidifying the alliance between the Dark Prince of Meridian and the King of the Shotokan. And it's the end of part 10 of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.